You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
To a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast, the podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects: that's movies,
TV shows,
video games, board games.
And I'm your host Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome. This week's episode is going to be a movie episode. We're going to be talking about those top 5 disaster movies of all time. I'm John around the table with the guys that love to talk about disaster movies. Introduce yourselves around that table, please.
Hi guys, it's JK47.
It's me, Mario.
Yo.
And it's H-1 list.
Not again. No.
Slacking on the 2 lists then.
No, it's
all fairness, this
was too much.
All fairness, I barely got a list, let alone you getting 2 out of this.
I changed mine so many times. Oh, Jesus.
But we had to try and understand what a disaster movie was, and I'm sure we're going to go into it in a second. But guys,
we all struggle. But I'm going for quality, not quantity.
Well, there we go. So how was the list for you? Well, obviously, a couple of us have struggled. John?
I struggled, to be honest with you. It took me ages to kind of put the list together. I had a couple in my head, and then when I kind of thought about it, I thought, well, they're not really disaster films. They kind. I was like backwards and forwards with some of them, and I've just put a list together. Of films I like.
About you, Mary?
I had the same sort of thing. I was going through them. Like I said to you earlier, I was going through anything that had anything to do with a natural occurrence that caused an incident.
Oh, there you go.
And slowly kind of going through it and going, oh, that's technically a disaster movie. Oh, actually, it's a heist movie within a disaster movie. So it was kind of weeding out those. Also realising that the 70s seemed to be the era for disaster movies.
Right,
and I hadn't watched any of the 70s. Well, I'd seen some of the 70s ones, but not the ones that I could really kind of recount and say I enjoyed.
Oh, okay. So, Howard?
Yeah, I think I concur with Mario on that one. Just putting this list together was ropey, to say the best.
Okay.
But looking at the type of film that you would classify as a disaster movie, I think when you look at a natural disaster movie, they tend to be sort of real life depictions of something that has actually happened. There's one on my list of that one, and it's a very good example.
Okay.
But the 70s did it very well, and it was always a man-made disaster, I think. Or a comical version of it or something like that. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So Mario and Howard has already gone into a little bit for what the next question was going to be. It was like, can you explain what a disaster film is? So it's not like a shit film or a flop or something, okay?
I'm going to take plenty of those.
That's another episode.
That was another episode we decided to go for, wasn't it?
I'm going to have to take Into the Woods off for this then.
That's my number 3.
So Mario, you said it was like to do with like a natural...
Yeah, it's a natural occurrence. So something that the stakes were kind of high enough for us to kind of... a volcano, a storm, even like attack of birds or something, but something that the stakes were high enough that either to an individual or to the world, or it mattered, and it came through in the film.
Yeah, I normally went for things that weren't necessarily like end of the world type of thing, but it's like where
that's off my list.
But films where a lot of people will say were in danger. I went down that kind of a road because it was like you got like sci-fi disaster movies and adventure disaster movies and comedy disaster, and you think really the list is flipping endless. This was a very, very hard list.
But then sometimes natural disaster movies that don't try to be funny are
know.
funny at times. So it's just like,
I mean, like I said, I had a couple in my head, and I think I got rid of one and kept two, and then added three onto it on the end. So
I kind of looked at this, and I was looking at films that dealt with threat to civilization.
Yes.
But I kind of boiled
I
it down
started
to
with that, and I think I went off a little bit at one point.
probably all come to the same conclusion. I mean, I've ended up with pretty much threat to life at that particular
I think that's
juxtaposition.
that's pretty much where I ended up. Something that may occur or has occurred that causes everyone to kind of fear. That's it. Basically, just shit their pants. And there's always one defining hero, or in some cases, multiple defining heroes. They come together to save the day and get everyone out of the situation, or alleviate the situation, or save the world. But
I had quite a. I mean, I'd kind of put quite a few together, and like I said, I kept changing my list, and in the end I got so frustrated and annoyed with it that I just picked 5 films that I liked that sort of fit the bill, and I thought, well, technically that's what we're doing. They're our top
just
5.
fly the wall, really, John.
So I just cobbled 5 films together, and I like them all, and I think we've all seen them all as well. So I'm pretty sure there isn't anything on my list we haven't seen.
So the reason you put it on there is because I like it
as well. Yes.
Right, so obviously now we don't get as many disaster movies nowadays. Now, do you think it's because it's a case of running out of ideas for disaster movies, or?
Yes, other genres have taken over it at the moment. I'm sure that there'll be a point where disaster movies will be top of the bill again.
Well, I think disaster movies has changed. So where it used to be like natural disasters, the world coming to an end. I think the dynamic has changed. Now people are looking to something that could potentially happen, as opposed to something that has happened in the past, and there are stories about it. Like if you think about alien invasions, they've now become the disaster movie. Alien is a horror film as well, but also it's almost a disaster movie in itself, because they're trapped in a place.
It's the situation, isn't it?
It's the situation, and they can't get out of it, and that invasion. So you've got that as well, but also the directors. There's not many people that specialise in that now. No. I think there's only one that I can think of off the top of my head that directs.
He's done a few,
quite a few, and seems to be his specialist kind of subject. I don't think there's any directors that want to do that. Everyone else wants to do maybe action or something meaningful, or Marvel.
Specifically Marvel.
Well,
but also the climate has changed as well with the advent of things like COVID, and there was a lot of films about contagions.
Yes, absolutely.
And now it's happened for real. So I think it's kind of taken that fantastical element out of movies like that. And and there's a couple of my list, I think, whereas back in the 70s, back in the 80s, we would have made a film about it and people would be like, oh, well, that will never happen. Yeah, these things have now happened. So with the real life event occurring, it's meant that there's no...
It's no longer fantasy, is it? It's no longer a story. It's no longer a could be. It has.
There was,
will it happen again?
There was a film I wanted to put on my list, but it wasn't about the disaster, if you know what I mean. The disaster had already happened. And so the story went off on a different tangent.
Is it the repercussion of the disaster? Is it
to a degree, yeah. And I thought, well, I didn't really feel that should be part of it then, because to me, the disaster, you should actually get to see the disaster happen, and then you deal with the fallout from it. If it's already happened, then that element is gone. So I didn't put it in the end. I'll tell you what it is later. So.
Okay.
I hope so. It's on your list.
Yeah.
It's not on my list.
It's not on your list.
Oh, so honourable mention.
I was going to put it on the list. I didn't.
Right. I'm intrigued now, so it's got to be an honourable mention.
It's going to be an honourable mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that in question that we had just now, do you think that the disaster movie is a dying genre of movie?
No.
No,
I don't think it is, because there's been a couple the last couple of years, but it's like Mario said, there's nowhere near the amount of them that there used to be. I mean, every year there'd be a couple, but there's been a couple in the last couple of years, if you know what I mean.
I think quite a lot of them have resigned now to like B movies, aren't they, rather than A-list. They've kind of.
It's not the hot topic.
No, it's not. And so
they're throwing a comedy element in it or something like that. Do you know what I mean? To try and almost as if to take the sting off of the. And like I say, I think COVID's frightened a lot of people. It's like, oh shit, we can't. Really do that because COVID only just happened. You know, so I don't know. I don't think it's dead, but there's definitely a lot less of them.
I think if you go back and look at action films, so after the whole 9/11 thing, action films took a back seat. Like you didn't get as many Arnie, you didn't get as many Stallone, you didn't get as many Van Damme.
You didn't get any hijacking films. All of that went.
All of the films that kind of had the stakes and also had an enemies that was normally a terrorist in nature or a revenge thing that had a terrorist link or something. They vanished off the face of the earth for a long time.
They went. To me, I think they went like more military type films where our soldiers have gone out there. They went into that kind of a thing, didn't they?
Like your heroes changed. It became Liam Neeson became an action hero. You know, this guy that had been like, you know, a lawyer in the background of something, or you know, an Irish character actor in something else. He suddenly became an action.
He's like
hero.
An assassin for hire now, or something.
Yeah, exactly that. And all the ones we used to see were like that. You know, Stallone, Banderas, and all these kind of films where it's all guns hunting, not much of a storyline, very weak, all revenge films. They vanished.
Well, I think Neeson, he represented the everyman, didn't he? Because you had Man Mountain Arnie and Stallone, and then there was this guy. He could be anyone,
and then
that's what people were kind of keen into.
And then he kind of brought that back, and I think disaster films are going to have that, where like we've had our disasters now. So we've had the tsunami, we've had, you know, the volcanoes in other countries, we've had all these things actually happen for real now. So it's a little bit too real to do something about it. And then I think in a while somebody will come up with this idea of, this is a story that was told, so maybe we could take that and we could turn it into something, or we can base it off of this disaster or this you know, and we can make it so that people can see the good side, the survival maybe aspect, or the action aspect of it again, you know. And I think that's where we're going to get that renaissance, where it comes around again and the revolution's back.
Everything comes, like you say, everything comes around eventually. So I mean, I think we are going to get to a point where you're going to get a slew of like disaster type films, which will be good because they're always good films. So well, the majority of them anyway. So.
Superhero films will remain, but westerns will come back.
Exactly.
Will come back.
Yeah.
So, one last question for you guys. This is going to be the interesting answers I want to get out of you guys here. So, do you prefer the cheesy, ridiculous disasters, or do you prefer the ones that are based on true life or true events, true stories?
Oh, that's a hard.
It's going to be really telling, isn't it?
Well, I think.
Do we have to pick?
Save that question for afterwards, because it's probably going to be relevant from our lists.
Okay.
I think he's right. Yeah.
Good idea.
Well, I think relevant from my number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, no,
that's a big giveaway.
Two against one. I'll go with the boys.
2-1 is better. No, that's absolutely fine. If nothing else, then we can go straight to the top fives then.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
It's time for a top five.
Right. As normal, let's roll that dice.
Okay.
10.
Okay.
So, John, beat your 10. Here we go, John. In the hole. That's right, back.
17.
17. Oh, John's going first.
Pretty good.
Oh, I don't want to go first again.
15 for Mario.
You got it, H.
Go on, then, Mario. Hey, John's going first. Woohoo! Yes. Shouldn't have rolled so good. I've got to take it to Vegas, mate.
Well,
I don't think I have 20-sided dice.
That's true. Right, guys, if we don't mention your natural disaster, there's so many of them. You should have been in this episode. Bollocks, yeah. Number 5.
Number 5.
Right,
Go on, John. Number 5.
My number 5. Hear me out. It's on the list. It's on the list for a reason. The Towering Inferno. The original Towering Inferno.
Yeah, nice.
1974.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason it's on my list
McQueen
is because it was one of the, and Paul Newman. It was one of the first big films I saw when I was a kid, because it came out. I was only 10 when it came out, and I really wanted to go to the cinema and watch it. I remember my dad wouldn't let me go, so I think I saw it a couple of years later, either on TV or was, like we said, the hooky copy down the pub. but I always remember it being one of the first films I saw, and it was like one of these big spectacles with loads of the big famous actors at the time were all in it, and I couldn't believe that we had a film where normally you get a film like me say 2 big actors have been in it, and this one was like there was loads of them. The cast is stupendous.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Big cast.
And the film itself was good. And it was nice to be able to see all those different actors that you'd seen play of different kinds of films before, all come together in this one film. Because it's like Paul Newman is like he plays like a cowboy or whatever in films, and Richard Chamberlain's in it, and Robert Vaughan's in it, and it's like you see them all play different parts, but now all of a sudden you've got this one film, and all these big action stars, all in it. And so when I was putting the list together, I thought, well, I kind of have to put that on there because that's kind of like where it all started.
Yeah, it's good, man.
So that was why I put it on there. And there's been a remake, but I still prefer the original.
And it's a nice example of an ensemble piece as well, because you've got all of the different types of actors in it, not just the same type of actor. What I love about Tower and Inferno is one of those ones, it was always on like Easter holidays.
That's right.
Always on telly, wasn't it?
And Dad would be like, let's sit down and watch the film. What we got, Tower and Inferno? Oh, man.
Again?
3 hours of a burning building with people I don't even know.
I know how it ends.
So with each of my 5 now, I've put in the year it came out, the director, and the budget and the box office.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh.
So the budget for this was
John's
14 million.
You've gone all out when you were like,
I have. And the box office, it cost 40 million to make, and it brought in 205, which in 1974 was a fucking shit ton of money. So considering that films nowadays like 100-odd million pound, and they make 200, 300, 400 million, for it to cost 14 million then and bring in 205, it was quite a bit.
More than likely one of the biggest films made at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But you had Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Fred Astaire, Richard Chamberlain, Robert Vaughan, Robert Wagner.
what was the budget? Sorry, 14 million.
14 million.
So that's the same budget as Godzilla -1 last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And think how much that'll bring in.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll bring in hundreds.
Well, has brought in, yeah.
So I just thought, it was a good film. I've really enjoyed it. I've seen it half a dozen times, I suppose. Like you say, it's on every Easter or Christmas or something. And
but it's an easy watch.
but it is an easy watch. Yes.
It's a long watch, though.
Yeah.
If you're a child, you can't sit still for the length of that film.
And adverts on top of that.
So
it was on ITV, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's why I put it up on the list for me, because it's kind of like not necessarily where the disaster movies started, but where movies, in a sense, started. It wasn't the only one, obviously. There were others, but
kind of kick-started that chain reaction of that type of film.
Yeah.
It did, because I think the next ones after that, I don't know if they're going to be on anyone's list, but they very much had that kind of hero and save the world, save us kind of situation going on.
The same template.
Yeah.
But it worked, and we liked it, and we still watch them to this day. So
it's true.
It must have done something right.
Anything else on Tower Inferno, sir?
not really. Nothing. We've all seen it. We all know how it goes. So
people listening might not, but hey,
well, then look it up. It's very, very good. Look up the 1974 one, though, the original.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about, not the remake. I'm not saying the remake isn't any good, but
I don't think I've ever seen
to enjoy a remake, you need to have seen the original anyway. So
I think so. Yeah. It's like a song, isn't it? If you can only appreciate the new version if you've heard the old.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
what was added or taken away from it.
Yeah.
Nice. Mario, number 5 then.
So I've gone for something with Bayhem.
Okay, yeah.
Bayhem.
Okay, yeah.
It's so Michael Bay that it's got explosions in the titles. I've gone for Armageddon. Had to be in there. It is a disaster film.
Yeah, 100%.
Meteors coming from space to destroy the Earth. No real alien conflict or anything like that.
No.
And the only people that can save it are oil rig miners.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. How
cheesy as fuck.
But I also need to point something out here, because I feel like something was missed in writing this film completely, although it's Michael Bay, so maybe it wasn't missed, it was on purpose. So an overprotective dad, Bruce Willis, lets his only daughter,
Liv Tyler,
on an oil rig with sex-starved men for a long period of time.
Yeah. Specifically, Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck,
the naughty boy.
She definitely didn't want to miss a thing. So, no.
Wait, I've got to put that in.
Oh, dearie me.
But that film is like, that is the most modern disaster film that you could take and you could watch so easily. It's an hour and a half-ish long. It's got a great cast. Ben Affleck, Bruce Willis, Liv Tyler, Steve Buscemi in one of his greatest roles, in my opinion,
he's good.
where he sits across the missile and goes, "I just wanted to feel the power between my legs." Amazing. I really like the film, and the idea that the only people they could shoot into space were untrained astronauts who were just everyday blokes that would just drill into rock, put nuclear missiles in them to knock them off course.
Yeah.
What I love on that is that I think it was Ben Affleck himself turned around to Michael Bay and he said, why can't we just have astronauts go into space?
Yes!
To drill them up?"
Yes!
And apparently he turned around to Ben Affleck and he went, "Just shut up and get on with it."
No, just do it. Just do it, he says. Just shut up and just do it. Just do it.
Oh, mate.
And it's like, I think Liv Tyler's billed quite highly in this film, and she's in it at the beginning and she's in it at the end. But the main part of the film, she's not in it. She just doesn't pout like enough through the film.
It's Liv Tyler.
I'm going to watch anything with her in.
Yeah.
But
Anything with Liv Tyler.
even now, I'm going to watch anything with her
I'd
in.
still
Like,
call over broken glass for it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's true. It's true. In tissue paper trousers.
Yeah.
But it's so stupid, so good. This is kind of like, this is the light-hearted disaster movie. This is there is world at stake. There is a point in this where the asteroids come across as very racist, where they only hit black people.
Shut the fuck up.
There is a scene where there's two black guys arguing outside of a shop, and it's almost as if the asteroid just comes down and just takes them both out.
I never noticed that.
No.
Fucking Bayham.
Exactly that, yeah. Michael Bay portraying us. Also, in the background of two of the scenes, Michael Bay inserts himself as a scientist.
Yes, he is. That's right. Yes, he is in it. Yeah.
And he also, I can't remember the other film, but he basically takes, there's another film where the guys are playing like scientists or their risk management, and he just drags them in just to put them in the same film, in the same role, like this, they're typecast in the role. It is ridiculous idea. It is a fantastic film. It is one of Bruce Willis's best films, in my opinion.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like, in my opinion, which doesn't count for much, because this is number 5 on my list. But I still think like it's a great cast. It's a great idea, executed by Michael Bay. So lots of jump cuts, lots of explosions, lots of pointless lens flare.
It's got everything you want in a film.
And I don't know if you remember, there's a film called Space Truckers.
Yeah, that's with Dennis Hopper.
That's it, with Dennis Hopper, which is literally about guys freighting stuff across space and trying to avoid pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what Space Truckers possibly should have been, like mining on asteroids through space, but it's not. It's so much better. But I love Buscemi's character. I like Bruce Willis's character. Ben Affleck, I find him really irritating in this. And after you saying about the whole "can we be an astronaut," I think he felt he was dumbed down a bit, and so he doesn't give his best.
No, it's a bit by numbers, isn't it?
Liv Tyler just pouts all the way through it.
NASA showed this film during their training program to astronauts
as what not to do.
As what not to do.
Wow.
And they asked the astronauts to look at the whole going into space bit and say, can you spot the errors? And apparently there were 168 errors.
It wouldn't surprise me.
About the fact that it's total fantasy, but it is an amazing film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lovable film.
Just do it. Just do it.
You can hear it, can't you?
You can always
get on with it.
Leave me alone. Do it. But that's my number 5.
Nice, mate. Good pick.
Very nice.
Howard, what's number 5, sir?
Armageddon.
Is it really?
I love this film.
Yeah.
It's total carnage, total mayhem, and it makes not one iota of sense.
No, of course
but it fits into that end of 90s category, like The Rock, Con Air, films like that. Because obviously Buck Kramer was involved in this, and
it's got that bit of heart in it as well with the relationship, and then they may not make it back, and then
I mean, you can pretty much predict it by numbers how it's going to end, but it has the elements that make a good, enjoyable film that you can just stick on a Friday night and thoroughly enjoy.
It's a 100% popcorn movie, isn't it? It's just a great time in the movies movie.
It doesn't pretend to be anything else. That's exactly what it's sold to be, and much like we've discussed on previous films, if you just switch your brain off and enjoy it is an amazing film.
Yeah, because the same year we had a sort of serious version of it, didn't we?
Yeah, Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, yeah. Did anyone see that? Because I saw Armageddon instead of that.
I saw Armageddon instead of that.
I didn't see it in the cinema, but I've watched.
I've never seen Deep Impact.
No, I haven't either, and I've been told it's really good.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple of times.
Is it Morgan Freeman? Is it?
Yeah, and Elijah Woods, I believe.
Yeah, Elijah Woods.
So I'm going to go for Bruce Willis over those two, I'm afraid.
I think it is. He plays the president in that.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Morgan Freeman, yeah.
Yeah, I think Taya Leone's in it as well.
Oh, that might
possibly,
persuade me.
It's a good film. It's like it is Armageddon, but more serious. If you know what I mean. If you take the silly aspect out of it, it's quite.
There's a silly aspect.
In
How dare you, sir?
I know, but
Are you talking about the totally unbelievable aspect of the film?
Yeah.
What bit's that? The space truckers.
And another one was The Core. That was quite.
Oh, The
good.
Core. Yeah.
You're right. As well.
Shut up, John.
Okay.
Next. Anyway, moving on. Armageddon. No, everything Mario said.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're going to need to sit the other side of me soon.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You should have rolled higher. I don't think Howard's ever gone first on the show.
No, I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I think I rolled a natural 20 once.
Oh wow! Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Nothing else on that. Right.
We've all seen it.
Right. My number 5 has kind of been mentioned, or the director's at least been kind of mentioned. It is The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh right.
I've picked that because this was essentially for me the first disaster movie you saw for the visual effects.
Yeah.
You didn't see it for story, you didn't see it for entertainment, you just went to, because you saw the trailer, you're like, wow, this is mind-blowing. And when you actually saw it, it was just, it's incredible. I think the visual effects today still hold up for this movie as they do for now.
100%.
I mean, some of the stuff that you see now is, absolutely shit. But considering it does have a story in it essentially as well, it was just like, it's one of those, like going back to like one of those popcorn movies, like you were just mesmerized at like how when you saw New York get flooded, when you saw the Ice Age started to come back in and whatnot. Yeah. But even some scenes in that are, it's such a tension building movie. Like obviously he stars Dennis Quaid.
Yep.
Yeah. He plays the dad who's looking for his son, which is Jake Gyllenhaal, but Dennis Quaid is a scientist. He's like the guy who's like going to predict that this, is it global warming? Is it?
He's predicting global warming, and he's predicting that the Earth is going to go up by 13 degrees, but it's over a space of time.
That's it.
And he then turns around to like a council of people, of other scientists, and goes, "Oh, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen in like a week."
He doesn't though. He doesn't go, "It happened in a week." He goes, "Yeah, it's going to happen in our children's lifetime.
Oh, that's
our grandchildren's
it. Yes.
lifetime. It's going to happen, or it may happen." And they all sit there and they kind of try and drill him down to a date, and then I think he's then out of favour or something. Yeah, he's out of favour, and then the storm just suddenly happens, and he goes back to his work and discovers, oh shit, it's tomorrow.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the day after tomorrow.
So basically, he's David Bellamy.
Yeah, pretty much.
But even that scene, like you mentioned, the drilling part, he says when he actually drills at the beginning, the opening scene, and it goes, it just, oh mate, my stomach goes wogged in that bit.
It's the bit,
the ice flow.
That bit at the beginning where he does that, and he runs. And he's got like all this equipment under his arm.
He does the jump,
but somehow is able to do the jump. Falls down the edge. He's got nothing in his hands.
Yeah, so frostbite's kicking him.
Well, that, and then all of a sudden he's got an axe in the side of the just to ruin it.
Yeah.
But
hey, this is cheesy movie.
But it's got every trope going as well. It's got the father hates missing everything the son does. The son displaced from the father. The mum that's caring. Then the dad trying to save the family. It's got every trope going.
Yeah.
But
they do disaster in it. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's scary.
Yeah, my favourite scene is the eye of the storm when everything just starts to everything that's going to touch it is going to freeze completely.
And instantaneous freezing, isn't it? Like it's all freezing up the side of the buildings, the cables. Yeah. Is this one with the boat as well? There's a boat.
That's it. Yeah, the boat comes into New York, doesn't it?
That's it. And then you've got like around the world. You've got India, snowing in India.
That's right.
And as the changes happen.
It's just a thrill ride, and that's why I really, really like it. I mean,
and what about when the helicopters go to try and rescue the royal family?
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
and they end up flying into the storm, and they just freeze and drop out.
Yeah. Or the people that were in Scotland, like there's a scene where the scientists that they're like keeping an eye on it, and then they realise we're fucked, we ain't going to leave it, so they kind of accept their fate, sort of thing.
Yeah. But you can tell the film's a fantasy from that point because you've got Scottish guys watching football. And wait, because I can justify this.
Yeah.
They're watching Man United. At no point would any self-respecting Scottish person watch Man United. No. It's going to be Rangers or Celtic if you're lucky, Hibs. But
I think the producers did their homework, right?
But the guy then screams at the film, screams at the screen, kick it, kick it, kick it. Well, what else are you going to do in football?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why are you telling these guys what to do?
Yeah.
But yeah.
An American's idea of soccer.
Yeah.
But no, again, going back to the Eye of the Storm scene, it's like I never knew such a thing could happen. So that was like a big chill for me, if you will. But no, like literally the part when it freezes and you see the flags like going in the wind, and all of a sudden it just stops. And oh my god, I was like, holy shit! And how they do it. And the thing I love about that scene is obviously you see where Dennis Quaid runs away from it and tries to warm up, whatnot. But then when it cuts to Jake Gyllenhaal and the people he's trying to save as well, it gets to a point where it gets towards everyone and then cuts.
Yeah.
So you have to think to yourself, well, did they survive? I kind of like that little aspect to it. It was pretty good as well. But fun time with it. Fun time at the cinema with it as well. So I had to put this on there for at least my number 5.
That's good.
And I think it's one of those ones where it taps into the fear of something that's not quite there yet, is it?
No.
I mean, hey, it may happen.
It may still happen. That's the thing, isn't it? And they'll be like, oh, in 2004 they were right.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, Dales of Tomorrow, my number 5. Let's go to number 4s.
Number 4.
Go on, Jono.
Right, my number 4.
John Whiff.
John Whiff. Yeah, my number 4 is Twister.
Ooh. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to join you because it's my number 4.
Let's threes off on this.
Oh, is it really? Nice. Let's do that then.
Yeah, well, you two have mentioned a film already, and I didn't say.
Yeah, but I wanted to join in because there's no point.
Right.
I'll join
anyway,
in. We can choose to.
1996, Jan de Bont. He was the director.
Director of Speed.
And
he was
yeah,
indeed.
he was, yeah. The budget was 90 million, and it brought in 495.
I can understand why. Flying cows.
Yeah. Flying cow, exactly.
Here we got cows.
Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, basically
The late great Bill Paxton.
Yeah, amazing.
What and one of his better films.
Hold
I
on,
think.
who wrote it as well, John? Because this is quite important. Especially
Michael
for Ant.
Crichton.
It is Michael
Yes.
Crichton, same
Yeah.
guy that did Jurassic Park.
Yeah, which was that was the big thing for the trailer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the
It
trailer for
was
this?
from the writer of Jurassic Park.
Exactly, yeah.
Comes wind.
Bad wind.
Oh dear, yeah. But it's such a good film, frightening in places.
Yeah, definitely.
Because obviously, you hear on the news of tornadoes going around in America. Was it Tornado Alley? They call it some part of America. And so when you actually go and see the film, you're not expecting it to be as violent. And when and I didn't know they had different categories of tornado.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when you go to the cinema and you see it, and you think, "Fucking this thing's like lifting entire houses off the ground."
And the effects were brilliant at the time. The effects were so good at the time, weren't they?
The doors flying out, the fields being lifted, the tractor.
Was it Industrial Light and Magic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it must be, yeah.
It's so good. And the whole premises of the film is West Side Story with wind.
Yeah.
But it is. You've got two rival teams that are trying to launch these special kind of sensors into the air.
Called Dorothy.
That's it, called Dorothy. And they're trying to launch them into the air so that they will then get these readings from a live twister.
The idea was to try and
predict, isn't it?
Yeah, they want advanced notification that there's a tornado coming or bad weather. Do you know what I mean? But Helen Hunt's character and Bill Paxton, they're going through a divorce, aren't they? They're going through a divorce. He goes to see her with his new girlfriend because he wants her to sign paperwork, and this is how the two of them end up together. And she's saying, "Well, I've put this thing together. We call it Dorothy," and blah blah blah. And then it was something
they'd been working together on, and then when he sees it, he's like, "Oh my god, you got it!
You got it to work!" Yeah.
It is a really good film.
Good film. I really enjoyed it.
I like that because again, when you watch the trailers, it was always those two together,
Yeah.
and then when this film's in it, and they're actually split apart. They don't want to be together. No. You're kind of like, come on, guys, just get together already. You're chasing twisters for fuck's sake.
But So I mean, it was a good film. I really really enjoyed it, and I like we've said before, everything Bill Paxton's in there, it really is.
But no, like you mentioned Jan de Bont as well. Obviously, he's from Straight Off of Speed. There's some great action scenes considering everything's just falling apart. Like the scene where they're driving on the road. She's like, right, left. And then they go through a fucking house. And all that. And Bill Paxton's like, and they were going to crash.
It was the 4x4.
It's got some funny moments in it as well.
It's the two 4x4s going as well. And it's that when they finally get it as well and the things go up into the air like snow flakes in the sky. That's really cool, and there's silly little effects like that as well, where they're bleeping in the sky, and they finally succeeded where the other team haven't. And it was.
They had to go into the eye of the storm to do it.
To do it. Yep.
But do you remember
So
the
it's
drive-in movie theatre scene?
Yeah.
Because you don't see it, you just feel the wind, and like, you can hear like a storm's coming. Because it's at night time, you don't essentially see it. So when they all try and hide, then it just attacks, and you're like, "Fuck, that's actually." Pretty good scene. But for me, I put this on here because you kind of mentioned, John, this stuff I didn't know about it. At the time the movie came out, I don't know if anyone remembers this channel, Discovery Channel.
Yep.
They were putting so many programs and documentaries about people that do this for a living. And it's like
wind talkers and stuff.
That's
like
it.
that.
And I never knew this was ever a thing. It's just crazy. And then, so it was a big eye opener for us on that one.
Was it Discovery Channel? There was a whole
series. Discovery Channel.
Storm Chasers.
Yeah,
when it wasn't Shark Week, it was.
This week's Storm Chasers.
Yeah, if it wasn't fishermen getting crabs, it was.
Shark Week was good though. You got to admit.
Shark Week is good every year.
It is good,
it might be the same stuff every year, but it's still really
good.
Yeah,
it's still relevant.
But obviously Bill Paxton, late great Bill Paxton. We've also Philip Seymour Hoffman, late great. He's in that as well. He plays the loser. You're out of here, guys.
So good.
But this movie was big because it even had its own ride at Universal Studios. Did anyone ever go on that at all?
Yes, I've been on it.
Yeah, same. And then we've got the sequel this year. Finally,
I know.
Out of nowhere.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Now, I believe on the WhatsApp chat you were debating about seeing it or not.
I was.
Is it a cinema?
And then I saw the trailer and was like, do you know what? I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm not going to rush to the cinema to watch it, but I am interested to see it, to see.
It's not got Bill Paxton. What's the point?
No, exactly.
It's going to be some.
Even Helen Hunt's not in it.
I know, but it'll be a Netflix or Prime, won't it? So that's what I mean.
It'll be his like bastard son or something. Or whatever.
Exactly what it's going to be is like he opens the garage and there in the garage is that 4x4 with the tank on the back says Dorothy. And, what's the next one going to be called? Toto. I don't know.
My mum and dad designed this.
Notice they're doing the aliens thing with Twisters.
That's it. But what's it going to be now? We've got twin sisters. Oh no. No, we've got triplets we've got to deal with. I've seen films about that.
No.
Only ends well for one person.
But no, great 90s disaster movie. Awesome.
Definitely.
Howard, over to your number 4, sir. Is it Twister?
No. I've chosen a film that you probably have never heard of. But it does.
Mother Russia Bleeds.
No, I'm still waiting for that. That's going to happen.
The movie on the game. We've got the rights.
It stars Olga Kurylenko.
I know her.
Okay. She was in James Bond.
Yes, right, yeah.
It's a French film called Dans la Brume, but the English name for it is Just a Breath Away, and it was made in 2018 by Daniel Roby, a director called Daniel Roby. Now, it fits into the category of natural disaster because it basically is the days following a earthquake that creates a few cracks in the earth, specifically around Paris because that's where it's set, and it releases this mist, this fog. It turns out that this fog is toxic and it starts suffocating people. And it's centric around Olga Kurylenko and her partner or her husband in this film. The child that this couple has like a autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And is contained within this bubble. And apparently, in this story, because it is subtitles, it's a foreign language film, so it was a little hard to follow to begin with, but you really get into it. And there's several children like this throughout France. Well, throughout the course of this film, it's about the father going out because the battery that runs the bubble is running low, and they've got to go out and get supplies and get the medication for the child. And it's all about him going out trying to survive and coming across people who are dying. And it turns out that this mist is very heavy, so it hangs low, and they live in an apartment.
Oh shit!
So so it tells a nice little story. But he goes out. He's starting to die, and it's basically about trying to save the kiddie. The twist at the end, and I don't think I'll really spoil it because I can't imagine not a lot of people are going to see it, but I really enjoyed this film. The twist at the end is that Olga Kurylenko dies. He's on the verge of death as well. And the final scene is basically the kiddie's out of the bubble, but she can breathe. So basically, it doesn't affect these kiddies with this autoimmune disease.
Okay.
Yeah, this autoimmune disease. So she puts the father in the bubble, and it ends with the father being in the bubble. So it was kind of like
so it's role reversal now.
It flips on its head. It's a really, really nice little film. It goes back to what we were saying about, you can have the natural disaster as the core element of the film, but it kind of sits in the background. It's like alien invasion.
There's no reason why you can't make more of it.
No, absolutely,
exactly,
and like an alien invasion, that's going on around you, but it's telling the story about the people that are at the heart of this story, and it had a lot of heart, and I think that's why I really, really like it.
Yeah, nice, man.
Yeah, it's a nice story, and it kind of gives you that nice soft feeling at the very end.
It's like a heartwarming over such a massive disaster sort of thing, isn't it? Really,
it's not normally
something good comes from something so bad.
Yeah, it does, and it's not normally the sort of thing I would watch. Really, I love foreign language films, and it's got that sci-fi element to it as well. But I'm a bit route one, really. If it's not like a big blockbustery sort of film when it comes to that sort of thing, I wouldn't normally watch it. But stumbled across it, and it was a really good film. So that is my number 4.
Oh wow!
Nice. There's not a lot else I'll really say about it. I don't think I really wrote much down about it. So no.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Just a breath away.
Nice. Okay. Give it a go. I'm actually going to give it a go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Number 3 is John.
Number 3.
Back to me. You've got to read your writing, John.
My number 3 is
like
a film called Outbreak.
Okay.
Dustin Hoffman, and Rene Russo.
Yep.
Yes.
1995.
She gets fitter the older she gets.
Yes, she does.
Doesn't she just?
Thomas Crown Affair. Thomas Crown
Yes, mate. Oh, God, yeah.
Wolfgang Peterson.
Yes, he directed it, didn't he? Yes, that's right. It's got the monkey from Friends in it.
What, Marcel?
Marcel, is it? Marcel, it is Marcel, isn't it?
Marcel,
yeah. Because isn't there an episode where they're sort of filming
they're filming
Outbreak?
Filming, they're not calling it Outbreak, but they're filming they have a monkey for a film, and he's in it.
And he's in it, isn't he?
But I think, isn't that the episode where Van Damme turns up?
Yes!
Crush a rib G for Friends knowledge. And
what are you people doing? Can't you see this man's dying? And Joey's like, sorry, John, Outbreak.
That's all right. At the time, because it's basically about...
explain what Outbreak is.
It's
a virus film, isn't it?
It's a film about a virus very similar to Ebola.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And everybody was fucking shit scared about it because there was this big Ebola scare, and I can't remember if the film came out before it or just after.
It came out at the same time,
as it, because it obviously tagged in.
It seemed very kind of coincidental. That it was timely.
Because I remember seeing it, and it struck a chord with me. Certain things that kind of happened in it. But one of the things they said about the film is it's like you begin to realise how the civilian agencies and the military agencies and what they are supposedly capable of to try and protect the rest of the planet. And there's an incident, I think it's in the very beginning of the film, where the virus, I think it's a group of soldiers, because I haven't seen it in a long time. I think it's a group of soldiers in Zaire they get this like virus, and I think I think it's Morgan Freeman, isn't it? And another guy. I think they end up. They're like the doctor. They're like the two military doctors, and they end up bombing the camp to protect the virus because they can see a military aspect to it, and it's something like 20 odd years later that it starts to resurface, and now these two guys go back to try and deal with it. And Dustin Hoffman is this virologist, and
don't they capture a monkey?
Yes,
it comes to this country. It comes to America. It goes in a pet shop and scratches people, and then the outbreak comes out, doesn't it?
Because like I say, it started off in Zaire, and then 20 odd years later, there's an outbreak in this little town in California, and it's like, how the hell has it made this leap? And you start looking, and you find that this guy bought a monkey and smuggles it back, and then like I say, it scratches someone, whatever. And then you begin to realise these two doctors, they kind of get involved in it again, and Dustin Hoffman realizes, hang on a minute, this, and it's just the lengths people will go to, and you think, shit, and it really.
Everyone watched this movie during COVID, dude.
Yeah, everybody did, because it was that or Outbreak.
It was, wasn't it?
It was a fucking scary film, really.
But the part that terrifies me is when they're in the hospital and it's spreading even more, even though it's not being like scratched or anything, and he finds out it's airborne. It's like, fuck that.
It's that line.
The guy's in the bed over there.
It's airborne. Like right at the camera, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's got all these things around him. How has he got it? Have you touched it? He says, no. And if so, like you say, they start panicking. How the hell has he got it? And like you say, then it starts realising, because first they think it's through touch, and then it's through, then they think it's people kissing each other and stuff like that.
Sweating.
And in the end, they realise that this thing is just, people are just breathing it in and coughing and spluttering. Like you say, like when we had COVID, that was the first thing that was going on in my mind. If ever with COVID, put your fucking mask on. Because I've seen what can happen.
Damn.
And then the monkey's kind of like the cure to it, isn't it?
Yes.
So they have to try and find it, don't they?
Yeah,
And
it's those
capture
damn monkey smugglers.
Yeah, I tell you,
mate.
mate. Because he has the antibodies, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes,
Yeah. So
and it's like the worst dummy of a
Yeah,
monkey
I
when
know,
they do capture it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought I wanted to put it on there because obviously with the relevance with COVID and all that sort of thing, it was I found as a disaster film, it's quite it's got some scary elements.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll take the monkey out and put it in a bat.
Oh yeah, and take
Too
it
soon.
Take it from Zaire and put it in China.
But also, so the thing I find with this film is the similarity towards that and Braindead. Only this takes it really seriously.
So about the monkey rat. Yeah.
Yes.
So the monkey rat scratches or bites the person.
You got
and then,
the bait.
Exactly it.
I love Braindead. I go on all day about that.
Insane.
Oh, such a good film.
But
Nice.
So that's.
You haven't put the budget or anything in there.
No, because
You weren't prepared.
John, you've already failed.
No, I think it was the first film.
He's trying to up your 2-list game, mate.
No, it was the first film I put down because I like I said, I had 2 films I wanted to put in, and that was one of them. And then as I was doing the others, I started thinking, well, why don't I put in the director and the budget and so on? And I just forgot to do that one. So
Well, you got Wolfgang Ain't, that's good enough.
yeah,
Good enough.
he's done some good films as well. So
Nice pick. Mario's number 3 now.
My number 3 was the return of one of the action stars into mainstream kind of blockbusters before he then fell off the face of the earth for a little while. After his films of Dread and Assassins kind of failed in box office terms, he was called back to do this one. And I think this one is one of Stallone's actual better works. I mean, the actors around him are questionable, but Daylight.
yeah,
Nice.
it was one of my honourable mentions.
Yeah, it's where
I did like that film.
he plays an emergency kind of rescue agent who has retired, not cliched in any way or form, and he has because cliffhanger,
Literally,
which was a couple of years earlier. But this was the return of Stallone, so he'd kind of. After everything he'd done, they'd failed or not been as good. Like Assassins is an okay film; it's not great. And Dread,
This is way better.
yeah. Dread is niche. I like Dread, but I hate Dread at the
Fucking
same
dare
time.
you, sir. It's an amazing movie.
No, I like it, but I hate it at the same time because, like, I used to read the 2000 AD books,
so did I. Yeah.
and so Dread for me was like this skinny dude that never took his helmet off.
Yeah.
But he goes to prison. He can't keep his helmet on in prison.
Well,
There was just to sidestep onto Judge Dredd this for a second. There was a lot about that movie that I think they got absolutely spot on.
There was.
It's just that the story was a bit pony.
Yeah.
There is that. They Hollywoodized it too much.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And some of the
visuals were absolutely stunning.
But then I think the what's his name Dread recently was much better. Like you had
the Carl Urban Dredd, yeah.
I prefer that, but to be fair, Dredd's Stallone's one is still good. I like them both.
That's why I say it's
But
very niche.
But I lean more toward the Carl Urban version.
I don't not enjoy Stallone's Dread.
No.
But at the time, it failed. It was for the amount of money they put into it and the amount of money it got out, it was just abysmal. And so he then went on to do this Daylight, and it was 2 films, and it seems in succession, that he did to get over his fears. And one of them was Cliffhanger. He did that to get over his fear of heights.
Oh, wow.
And this one he did to get over his fear of confined spaces. And it was all filmed, and I didn't know this till doing research, it was all filmed in a studio in Italy, and it was the last of the practical effects kind of driven films.
Oh, wow.
So all the explosions...
So before all the CGI and stuff
before all the
that we know
CGI,
today.
so they had full-on sets of like the tunnels underground where the flames come over the top of the cars and where, yet again, very cliched, the chemical trucks smash against the side and the chemicals
And
mix.
there's no CGI, and this is all practical stuff for this movie. Yeah.
Even the bit where this is the other bit. The entrance of Stallone into it is very Mission Impossible in that he's got to get in through the ventilation ducts.
One of the best scenes in this fucking film.
And he has to come through the fans and
ventilation system, isn't it?
Yeah, and he has to get through it, and the fans are massive, and they're running, and he's this tiny little figure, and he gets in, and he's smashed against the wall, and then he's throwing it. His character in this is so good. But some of the actors around him are a little bit dodgy, and some of the tropes on it are like, you got an elderly couple with a dog, and the most important thing to them is not that they get out of this, not that anyone else gets out of this, but the dog survives.
All the jail people are from different ethnicities apart from whites.
And did you know? So I got a did you know on this as well.
Hang on, right here we go.
So Stallone's son plays one of the...
Yes, it is.
He is.
Yes.
He is one of the children of criminals going to jail sort of thing that get caught in the tunnel. And it's played by his son. Unfortunately, that son is the one that died.
Yeah. No. Was he the one in Rocky V as well? It must be him, surely. It doesn't look like him.
And he's in it, and he actually plays quite a good character in it. Like he's the kind of ne'er-do-well kind of teen trying to, hit on the girl in the subway.
Yeah, who's clearly underage compared to him.
Maybe a little bit weird, I suppose, now I talk about it out loud. But like that, the whole kind of everyone helping each other to get through. But it also has this one scene which the police officer that he finds down there to help him get through it all, George, and he turns around to him and says, just make sure they see daylight.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like brilliant. Yeah,
you mentioned the name of the
He said the name of the movie.
But yeah, all the practical effects. Stallone himself, I do feel this is the start to Stallone, like emotional acting. Like before that, he doesn't really emotional act. Like I know
in this, he does though.
In Rocky, like maybe the bit where he wins the fight with Adrienne, but then you go to Rambo. He's not really. He's not really kind of acting, in my opinion. Like he's just having fun. And then like Assassins, that's fun. And then Dread is just a fantasy kind of thing, and Cliffhanger is just adrenaline full stop the whole way through. Cliffhanger's awesome. Really great.
Don't
film.
forget Demolition Man.
Demolition Man, all-time favourite. Like so good. This first time that I had ever seen Sandra Bullock on screen. Was like I like you a lot.
Do you know,
you were like, be well.
Be well, John Spalding.
Please show me how to use the shells.
Show me
how to use the shells.
A very quick aside again. I think Sandra Bullock in Demolition Man is the same reaction that I have every time I see Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in.
100%. And I'd seen Michelle Pfeiffer in Fabulous Baker Brothers.
Yes.
And then was like, oh, she's okay. And then I saw her in Batman
Selena
Returns
Kyle.
and was just like,
mate.
Oh my god,
that's it. Now I get what everyone's talking about.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah, that suit.
Anyway. But yeah, Daylight Cliffhanger. But Daylight, I think that's like Stallone's.
I got a new respect for that film now.
It's
a good film. I enjoy watching.
it's
Like I
such
say, it's an honourable mention for me.
But
But
it's
to know
also-
that he actually came over.
Yeah.
That to,
The practical effects in that, Stallone himself, his son just like being in it as well, almost like a family-made movie. But also like, there are so many tropes. There is the dad who comes up and he really verbally explains his situation. I'm a single father and these are my kids and this is the only daughter that I've got and I want to make sure she gets out of here alive. So you don't hide anything from me and tell me everything that's going on. And Stallone looks at him up and down and goes, okay.
And Viggo Mortensen's in it, isn't he?
But Viggo Mortensen's character is
he's a colossal cunt in that.
But he gets his comeuppance.
He does,
frankly.
yes, he
But
does.
What's great about it is he plays. Viggo, from what I remember of Lord of the Rings, he went full kind of like, I am going to be my character. And so he would set out at 4 o'clock in the morning to climb the mountain with the shield on his back and the sword, and then go to set.
Why did he do that?
Because he wanted to be in character for some reason. Go on.
No, he doesn't like flying.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and all the characters, all the actors were flown up in helicopters, and he doesn't like flying. So
how the fuck do you get to New Zealand if you don't like flying?
Yeah, so he chose to walk up.
True, yeah. A long ass boat ride.
Yeah, so that's why he'd set off so early, partly to get in character as well. But he would set off hours before them.
Yeah, so he could get to the point.
Yeah.
But in this, like, he plays, like you say, he's a wanker. He's a rich wanker who decides that he's going to save the world and everybody in it, and then everybody in this tunnel. And he has all the equipment, all the gear, no idea, as they say.
Yeah. And even though he's been told by professionals, don't do it.
Yeah. Stop it now. Stop it, naughty boy. And then the ceiling collapses on him. But yeah, he gets his comeuppance 100%.
Absolutely.
And it's not even the practical special effects for that. Like, you see him standing up.
He looks up and he just
and then that sits on top of him. That's the end of him. Okay, nothing special. They don't even find him or find parts of him. But this is definitely Stallone's kind of return to proper action, as opposed to the action hero. He actually gets to feel something in this. And I thought it was really cool.
Nice. Howard, number 3, sir.
This is a Wolfgang Peterson film.
Oh, nice.
From 2000, and it is The Perfect Storm.
Nice.
Yes.
What a great film.
Yeah.
I'm not usually a George Clooney advocate.
No,
but he puts in a really good turn in this one. And you've got the likes of Mark Wahlberg, Diane Lane, John C. Reilly, obviously, as part of the crew. A rare appearance for Karen Allen as well, Marion from Raiders. And Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
Yep.
So the crew of the Andrew Gale are chasing the big catch at the end of the season because the much maligned George Clooney character has been told that he's no good as a fisherman. So he convinces his crew to go out and chase this one big fish, unbeknownst to them that a big storm is on the horizon, and the tale unfolds from there. But again, it's another one where the characters take over, and the events are very pertinent to the film because, ultimately we all know how it turns out. Yeah. And we know what's going to happen. I think even if you don't know what the story is or you haven't seen it, you know how that.
Isn't it loosely based on a true story?
Yeah, it basically is a true story. Yeah, I think just certain elements and names have been changed.
Exactly. I was just going to say they've added that bit, haven't they?
But what a fantastic film!
Isn't there a part in that movie where they catch a shark?
I haven't seen this film.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen this.
I swear there is. There's like a part they get out the net and there's like a fucking shark in there or something.
I can't be honest with you, but let's put the conversation before this. A lot of these films I have not seen since these.
That's true. Yeah. Again, I've only seen this movie once and I saw it at the cinema, and I think that's literally the only part I remember of that movie. Not to mention the big wave at the end or anything. I remember the fucking shark.
I'm telling you images of Mark Wahlberg looking back at a wave going, "It's a transformer."
It's like this. It's just a transformer.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it. And
I swear,
no, you could
comment below. Let me know, guys, if I'm wrong or not. But I swear there is.
Scary is that this film is now 24 years old.
It is,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
That is scary.
But it's called The Perfect Storm because it's a combination of two very fierce weather fronts and a hurricane that
come together and cause
this perfect storm. And there was absolutely no way out for these guys. A little fact that because go for it.
Yeah.
One for Johnny here. So, The Abyss, starring Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, based on her horrific experience during that film, which I think we documented on this very podcast.
We did indeed.
We did.
Her parts in this film, she only agreed to play her part in this film if they were filmed on land.
Yeah, I don't blame her either.
After what she went through.
Purely because of her experience with The Abyss. But
she's like two things: got to be on land and no James Cameron.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude.
Perfect storm. No, I've got nothing else to really say about it.
That's fine, mate.
It's a good film.
It's a good pick. It was actually going to be an honourable mention for me, but
okay.
Good shout.
It was one of those ones where I think looking at the list and you just think, what. I tend to gravitate towards more of the truer stuff. I think more than the fantastic element, because, like we said at the top of the show, we've steered away from that now. And I think that very much belongs in the 70s and 80s. So this one, when I watched it, and I'm a big old softie anyway. I'll cry at the drop of a hat.
I'm the same.
And you really feel for these characters.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, I'm a hard-ass bastard. I think we established early on that I've only ever cried at one film, and that was a silly thing at the end of Backdraft. So.
No, that's a good film, Backdraft. Yeah.
But I mean, Clooney, he sacrifices himself, goes down with the ship, and he tugs on the heartstrings a little bit, and you just because at the very end he says, "Oh, none of these guys survived." And you just think, it's sad, and you feel for them, and it must happen.
But at the end of the day,
more often than not.
it's you get to see just what they all went through.
Yeah, and it's a true force of nature as well, because there was no way that these guys were going to fight against this. But stupidly go against the storm, and we're still going to chase that big fish.
Why?
Then nobody's going to care because you're going to come home dead.
Yeah, you ain't going to come home at all.
You ain't coming home.
You ain't coming home. You're coming home.
It's a one-way trip.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm.
Nice, good pick, sir. Right, my number 3 is going to be a foreign film.
Ooh.
And it is the Korean version of The Tower Inferno.
Oh wow.
Called The Tower.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I put this on here because this is essentially, it's very weird because it is a disaster movie. Again, being Tower Inferno and whatnot, but it starts off like a comedy.
Right. I've not seen it, so.
It takes time to introduce your characters, and there's loads of different ones. So it's essentially 2 towers that are connected by a glass bridge in the middle. All right, takes place during Christmas, and we get to see how people work in these towers and how people live in these towers, because one of them is a hotel, and I believe the other tower is like an apartment building and stuff like that. And it has all these sorts of things. It's where the rich people live, essentially, or can rent a room there, whatnot. And we get to see, like I said, like, people inside. We get to see what the residents, we get to see what the workers look like, and then we also get to see the firefighter side of it. Of course, someone starts their first day. On the day, something happens.
Of course.
But this is, again, it starts off like quite comedic. It's very cheesy how the fire starts. So essentially, it's Christmas time. So there's no snow in Korea at that time of year. So they get helicopters to go around the 2 towers to drop snow. And funny enough, one of the cables gets caught on the snowmaker machine and crashes into one of the towers on Christmas Eve.
What a bunch of clowns.
Exactly. So it's all about, so again, we come to, and then it gets quite serious. This is where the action kicks in, obviously. And we get to the firefighters there. We get the people in the buildings trying to escape and whatnot, sort of thing. There's an amazing scene where they try and contain the fire from the origin. So that's where the helicopter crashes. Very good, very well shot. And then obviously they contain it, but unfortunately the fire has spread everywhere. And that's when the building starts to collapse. It's collapse. It's getting overheated, and all the structural integrity of it is coming apart, whatnot. Is a fantastic nail-biting scene where obviously the glass bridge breaks down, but it's all about. Do you ever see that episode of Squid Games when it's the glass?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but done a bit more intense, and it's really, really good.
Which plane's going to break?
Yeah. And even though we've got some serious moments in the movie, the comedy still comes back and forth as well. It's a very weird mixture, but I think it's to do with their culture and how they
just to
take
break up tension.
Exactly, So it's a good between both, but then it's kind of a Marmite effect on people. So some people might not like that sort of type of comedy. But I put it in there for that aspect of, like, I mean, nothing wrong with Tower Inferno, but I really like how this is shot. It's essentially Tower Inferno with Backdraft, if you will, and comedy bits in it, without the not so serious part of Backdraft to it. And again, being a very underrated Christmas movie, I just really liked it. It's cheesy as fuck, but it's brilliant, and it's nail gripping, and it's comedic at the same time. It's so weird to say that in a natural disaster film. That is quite funny. People are dying, but I had to put this on there because I watched it years ago when it came out. I think it's like 2012 it came out, and then I watched it recently for the purposes of this episode because I remember liking it, but I don't remember how much I liked it. Obviously, I like it a lot to go in the top 5. So that's why I've picked The Tower.
Now, you love your Korean cinema.
I do.
Is this by your favourite director?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's
No.
not.
No. So no, I don't even know who the director is of it, really. But no.
I want to watch it, so... It's not on Netflix. I just had a look. It's not on Netflix.
No, I think you can only get it on DVD in this country. It's very weird. It's very restricted here. So yeah, that's it. Number 3 is The Tower. We're going to go to John's number 2.
Number 2.
Over you to John. Film number 2, sir. I expect budget, release date, and director on this one.
Well, okay. I've got to try and find where I put it now, 'cause they're not in the right order. All right, my number 2 was Armageddon.
Oh, okay. Cool. There we go.
But I've got Michael Bay. But the budget was 140 million, and the box office was 555 million.
Wow. Understandably
Nice.
so.
Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, Liv
I
Tyler,
forgot
Ben
Billy Bob
Affleck,
Thornton was
Will
in it.
Thornton.
Of course, yes. He's
He's the NASA dude,
yeah.
isn't he? Yeah.
But yeah, and they had 18 days. This comet was coming in 18
Well, the
days.
comet was gonna
so
hit
in
in
18
18
days, they've got to train these people.
But they
put them
only
on-
had 12 days to
I
train
know.
them as astronauts.
Yeah, exactly. So they only had 6 to get them up there.
Yeah.
Crazy
Yeah,
idea.
exactly.
But such a good film again. So, but yeah.
I mean, talk about cutting it fine.
God,
Yeah. Just to drill a stone.
just to drill a hole in a
Just
stone.
don't put a nuclear
and
missile
put
in
a
it and then
nuclear
leave.
missile in
That's
it,
it.
yeah.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just shut up and do it. Get away.
So yeah, it's a good film. Really, really enjoyed
Nice.
it. But yeah, it's an
And the-
all-time classic.
And the
as far as I'm
soundtrack is
concerned.
everlasting.
Oh, God,
it
You
is, yeah.
always remember the nepotism from that film as well. Can my dad do the theme? Yeah, your dad can do the theme. Go on.
100%.
Yeah.
Write the theme tune. Sing the
Sing
theme
the
tune.
I mean, I love Aerosmith, and I went through a
Yeah.
phase of actually hating this song because it was played on
Everywhere.
Like,
It was constant, wasn't it? Yeah.
Heart
Yes.
FM, right? Only play 6 songs and have done since about 1996.
And this is still one of them.
And
Yeah,
it's still
yeah.
one of them. But it's
Yeah, it's that Savage Garden.
yeah. But it's come round
Oh
to
my
that
God.
point. It's come round to that point where I now love this song again.
Yeah,
It's a revolution.
Yeah, it's come, like you said, it's come round, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice pick. Mario, your 2 then. Number 2.
Yeah, again, another one we've covered. It is The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't
no,
realise.
that's absolutely fine. Like, what
That's
can I
quite high. I didn't realise you liked that much.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Over Armageddon.
Over Armageddon.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Armageddon, I put it at number 5 because Michael Bay. Basically,
The baster.
but the thing is, the lead up in let's go back to Armageddon quickly. So the lead up in Armageddon is he tries to humanize meteors. So like they are really that meteors are really horrible to people. Look, they kill people and they're hitting people, they're hitting cars. They hit a building to humanize the building. He has a man falling from the building. Do you remember that?
No.
So there's a meteor that hits through a building, and if you watch the building explode and fall apart, there's a guy falling towards the floor within the in one of his cut shots.
Oh, okay.
So when all the meteors or the little ones, asteroids and that are hitting,
Yeah.
there's one that hits a building, and to kind of make you feel like it's done a bad thing, he puts a man just falling out the building.
What you are doing is wrong.
Exactly that. So to try and make it look
Nasty
bad, he does that.
meteor.
Just say no to Meteor.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Grain chill, yeah.
Oh
Just
my
say
God.
no. Anyway, but yeah, The Day After Tomorrow, not Armageddon.
Such a
Done
good
that
film.
one. Yeah, I really like it. The heart that's in this film between Dennis Quaid being the estranged dad, and I know it tropes.
I love Dennis Quaid as well.
Yeah.
Inner Space, baby.
But 100%.
Exactly.
Such a great film. And
Love it,
he's
that's
this is like his comeback. He's been nowhere for
Yeah,
so
that's
long.
right.
Yeah,
And
he
then
does.
all
He
that
doesn't do
nowhere.
very many films.
No, but this like
I'll be honest, I
hadn't
hadn't seen him since Dragonheart, and then he came into that. Yeah.
Exactly that, yeah. He started alongside Sean Connery's voice and then returned
Yep.
to do this. And I thought it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal playing the Tobey Maguire sort of character.
Yeah.
I'm just out of college. You are not just out of college.
Yeah.
No way.
The scene on the airplane where he's trying to pretend like he's scared of
He's
flying.
scared of flying, yeah.
And he's like 15 bags of peanuts later, and the guy at the back's got an allergy. Like,
And he's shaking, but he's having a fit.
but
Oh, dear.
the girl next to him that's of indeterminate age, I can't remember who she's played by now, but like of indeterminate age, but she's supposed to be his girlfriend, but she's young enough to be his daughter.
Yeah.
And then the guy at the window, the only kind of black guy token in this film.
Yeah, true,
He
yeah.
is. He's the only one in there, and he has all the facts in the entire film. He's the one that spits it. What's the likelihood percentage of this plane going down? It's the same as the world freezing over. Look out the window. Oh, the world's freezing over.
Isn't he the guy that's like, has only noticed it's been raining for like 3 days constantly or something as well? And like, how does no one know that shit?
But he looks at the plane and says it like, oh, it's
That's
really
right.
it's stuff like that. And he is the exposition of the story. He's the extension of the storyline. And then Jake Gyllenhaal is just kind of like trying to get to his dad, and his dad's trying to get to him, and then trying to find the mum, and like the whole family coming together thing. But also like the like you said, the special effects, like the frozen library, the survival, like they're burning books to survive, which in my head is like sacrilege, but at the same time it's like, no, you probably would.
You probably would,
easiest thing to burn is going to be like paper because it will just go and it will be easy, even if it's damp or wet, you can dry it out. So, all of those little silly little details. Yes, there is some really unbelievable stuff, like I think I've already covered, like him jumping or able to jump, you know, a mile and a half to get to the other side of a chasm. But at the same time, like, you don't care. Like, the film keeps you along for the ride. It makes you understand, even if it is smacking you in the face with it, global warming is a thing. Or, you know, if we as a society don't do something, or the world doesn't do something or come together, then this is what happens. And it doesn't just focus on America. It focuses on other parts of the world. And I like the fact that it goes to the hottest countries they know, which is like India and China, and then freezes them and then says, like, look, it's happening.
It's scary, it's scary, isn't it?
Isn't there a part like it takes place in Japan or China, and the hailstones are literally like the size of my fist?
And there's a guy stood there with his bowl about to eat his noodles, and it whips the bowl out of his hand.
It knocks him out, doesn't it? Or kills him in the end or something?
That's it. And then the other bit is where he's kind of talking about the ice shelf melting, and he goes, it's the same size as New Hampshire or Newfoundland or something. And like they're going through like all these little bits and pieces, and then at the end of it, I think the calculation he has is the world is off axis by 13 degrees.
Wow.
And that's enough to cause the second ice age. And
scary stuff, isn't it?
It is. It was quite eye-opening, even if it was soft in the way that it approached it. But if you're trying to get to kids and you're trying to get to teenagers and make them understand something, dumb it down a little bit, throw a bit of action in it, and a little bit of heart for the adults that are going with them. And that's it.
I remember that at the time it came out, there was like a big thing with we talking about climate change. There was a documentary and stuff like that. So
it was big news at the time, wasn't it? I remember it. I've seen it a few times, and I always enjoy watching that film, even though you know what's going to happen because you've seen it before. It's still an enjoyable
it's so entertaining.
Yes, it's such a good film.
But yet, going on these disaster films, it's the same thing. The disasters happened, and you're not following the disaster anymore, and how you avert the disaster, or how you.
It's what people are doing.
The same as Armageddon. Yes, the disaster has happened. It's happening. But actually, you're not following. You don't care that it's going to destroy the earth. You don't care that the world is. You want to know that
you care about the people.
That's it.
You're on that shuttle with Bruce Willis for the ride, aren't you? So.
That's it.
All day long.
I remember there's I forgot to mention it when I mentioned it. There's a line that cracks me up every time, but it's so you know they're driving. They're just driving in this horrible snow. Dennis Quaid and his mate of his, and they can't drive any further. It's just like, grab out the snowshoes. We're walking. But delivered by Dennis Quaid, it's good, but it's like it's cheesy as hell. It's brilliant.
Mario, I like that you said that they've got Jake Gyllenhaal playing the Tobey Maguire role. Well, they are cousins in real life.
Oh, right.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
I didn't know that.
What's interesting is that
I didn't know that.
Well, there you go.
Did you know?
So Tobey Maguire, obviously Spider-Man, and then when Jake Gyllenhaal was in Far From Home, he has to play the bad guy because he can't play Spider-Man because Tobey Maguire's already played Spider-Man.
Makes sense now.
Okay.
Yes.
Mysterio. It was Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Bad Mysterio, but Mysterio.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Nice. Good pick, sir. Howard, number 2, sir.
Number 2, I have chosen a film called The Impossible.
Honourable mention.
I know.
Honourable mention.
Speaking
about Spider-Man, he's in it.
He is.
2012 by a director called J.A. Bayona.
Yeah.
Don't know the director, but the story. So it's based around the December 26th Indian Ocean tsunami that happened in 2004. And this one specifically is about a family that were at the Khao Lak resort in Thailand.
Yeah, they're going on holiday.
So the very first 15, 20 minutes of the film are just a setup. So family going on holiday.
It's a happy time. Everyone's enjoying themselves.
And it's Christmas Day and what was it, Boxing Day, Christmas?
It's around
Boxing
that time,
Day. They're all around the pool and they're all having fun. And Ewan McGregor, who's in it, is in the pool with hello there, with the two smaller children. Naomi Watts, who plays the wife, she's at the side, and Tom Holland, who absolutely acts his pants off in this film.
Absolutely.
And do you know
100%.
what? I mean, because so we say about him being in Spider-Man, where he plays a bit of a comical character and it's a bit comic booky and cheesy, but he is. It was only when I watched it.
He's a good actor.
He's a bloody good actor. Considering he was quite young.
Take him
at the
away
time.
from Spider-Man, and he's actually quite.
Well, no,
good
even
actor.
in Spider-Man, because like if you were to put a British actor into an American film and go, give me an American accent because you're now in New York, they're just going to go, okay, yeah, cool.
It's weird how two English guys have played Spider-Man.
Here's a generic American accent, and then they go to him, and then he goes, well, actually, no, Spider-Man's from Queens, so okay, so I do
a Queens
accent, and he does that really well, like way better than Garfield. Garfield's American accent is questionable most of the time,
ropey,
but.
I mean, I just talk about Spider-Man for literally. I liked Garfield as Spider-Man.
Oh, I did
think
as well.
Good term, but yeah. So Tom Holland, absolutely on point. And so going back to the story. So all of a sudden, and then the tsunami hits, wipes out the resort, and you just see the absolute carnage and chaos that happen. You see it unfold, and I think there's about 15 minutes of chaos. And you've got Naomi Watts in the water with Tom Holland. They're trying to get to each other, and they separate and they get to each other. She gets injured, and then eventually it sort of subsides, and then it's the aftermath of what happens. So
it's a family split up and disjointed.
And you see everything else that's going on around them, and it's centric about the family, but there's these other characters that kind of, they come in and out of the story based on what point of view you're turning it from. So you've got it from Naomi Watts and Tom Holland's point of view, and then it's Ewan McGregor and the two smaller boys, and it keeps flipping between the two. Ultimately, they come together, and there is a resolution to it, and a happy resolution, I'm happy to say. But, I mean, this film absolutely blew me away. I just think, it's a true story. So,
especially that scene with the wave, over that hotel,
where they're all
terrifying,
fucking scary, and that was all filmed in one go. The sort of, you've got the special effects there because you can't film it in real life, but the carnage that happens, it was filmed in one hit because it was going to be too expensive to film it in multiple goes. But I think the heart is already there because you know it's a true story, and it was actually written by the mother character that Naomi Watts plays.
It's from it's adapted from a book.
Adapted from a book.
Yes, yeah.
And the director basically looked at this story and he said, "I've got to make that. I've absolutely 100% got to make that film." The one amusing fact about this film, I mean, it's not amusing because it's a terrible thing that happened, but the lady who it happened to, she said the biggest lie in this film is that the beach ball that they're playing with on the beach was not red, it was yellow.
For fuck's sake.
But apparently so
everything else is spot on.
Everything else apparently is
the fear, the terror.
So you take what she said and then you think, hang on a minute, right, so you're telling me that everything else was real? That's when it hits you.
But I mean, the level of injury that this woman receives in this film,
she's almost
died.
dead at some point.
She nearly dies, and because Tom's acting his heart out beside her, and
he's
like,
like screaming at her,
and because she's like, and Ewan McGregor turns up at one, they all get reunited, and there was a fantastical scene where they're all kind of. They all get separated and then they all come together at this one hospital. And you just think, no, that couldn't possibly
But they
happen.
come together and they don't know they're together. This is the other thing, isn't it? It's only until, like, it's one of those kind of...
One of them screams out and the other hears the other.
It's a Hollywood cliche moment, isn't it? Like, where you hear the voice and you recognise...
But apparently, absolutely true. This is really... This heart-wrenching scene, and again, I cried like a baby because I'm a big pussy. But she's lying on the table. She's going, and Ewan McGregor's there, and all the kids are there. She's like, "Oh, I can finally sleep. I can finally sort of close my eyes." And they're like, "No, you've made it.
Too right,
You will not give in." No. But I think this film is brilliant and a good example of something that really happened. And it was so well acted and so well made.
Well put together. And
And it was a BBC production as well. It was a collaborative affair. But I thought it was brilliant. So
you mentioned the director. I quite like him because he done a film, one of my favourite Spanish films called The Orphanage. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I know.
He did that. And he also did. I don't know if anyone ever saw the TV series Penny Dreadful.
Yes,
he did that as well.
First season.
It's a shame that was cancelled.
Immense. Yeah, that was so good. And then I think
there was only 2 seasons, wasn't there?
I didn't watch the second season.
Or 3, I can't remember.
I think three.
Billie Piper came into season 2, didn't she? That's where it all went down.
Season 3 also. She doesn't think Thingy Green. She she isn't in season 3, is she?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I think it kind of loses way because it's based on the.
Because isn't Eva Green? She's Penny Dreadful, isn't she?
No, the books are the
books are the Penny Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful.
That's what they were called at the time.
Yeah,
little horror story
There you
books.
go.
They were called Penny Dreadfuls.
Well, you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
Frankenstein and whatnot, didn't you?
Because they
And-
cost
Right,
they
got it.
cost 1 penny,
Yeah.
and they were dreadful
They were
stories.
dreadful
So they're
stories,
known shorthand
Penny
as
Dreadfuls.
Penny Dreadfuls.
See, I always knew that, but I thought that she was playing a character because I've never seen this program.
I think the guys are right. The first season is immense. Watch it.
Right.
Carry on with it if you want to, but it does get
taper
swag.
off. Yeah, I think they lose their way quite
the first.
considerably.
It's one of them things where it should have
seasons.
ended at the end. It should
Sorry?
have ended
3
the first
seasons.
season.
It was 3 seasons.
I think it is 3
Yeah, but yours
seasons.
3 seasons
Okay,
rule.
yeah.
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 Well, I
Make it
watched
past.
season 1 and 2. I can't
Yeah.
remember about season 3. I might have.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched the third season.
Timothy
first.
Dalton. It's all about Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
Prince Baron,
Yes.
always Prince Baron to me.
But also, did you know?
Oh, here we go. Another one.
So I can't remember if I told you or not. I've told someone here, but I met Tom Holland at Gatwick.
Yes, you.
But
yes,
was it you?
was me, yeah.
So I met him come through, and I asked, he'd gone through whatnot, and then he was making his way to the departure lounge, and I caught up with him. I said, "Can I have a photo taken of you?" Happy as Larry to do whatnot. The first thing I said to him after that was, "I really loved your performance in The Impossible."
Oh,
And he said, "Oh, thanks, mate," because not many people know I'm in that film.
Yeah.
And I think he was expecting me to go, "Oh,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man."
He
But the
hears
fact
that
that
from
I
everyone.
mentioned Impossible, he was like over the moon
Well,
by
of course,
it.
yeah, because
He's-
I mean, Spider-Man, it's probably what he would now be known for. I'll tell you what, and when I was talking about this the other night with my partner, and we were discussing this film, and I said there was another one that he did around about the same sort of time, and it's a science fiction-y kind of a post-apocalyptic film called How We Live Now.
Okay.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you a
I
lot about
heard it, but
Yeah, I've heard of it.
British made. I highly recommend you watch it because again, he acts his pants off in that one. But a brilliant film nonetheless. But yeah. How We Live Now. Go and check
Right,
that one
I'll
out
look
as
that
well.
up.
Nice. Anything else on Impossible?
No.
Okay. My number 2 has been mentioned. Thank you, Mario. Mine. You've done it. I done it to you. You've done it to me.
Yeah.
Daylight's my number 2. Very, very close to my number 1. But my number 2 is this because I think, like Mario said, this is my favourite Stallone film ever. I love Rocky character. I think Rocky's my second favourite of his, but this movie fucking shines for me. This has came out I remember seeing the trailer. Do you remember the trailer for this movie?
No, I don't.
So-
And I was going to watch it because it showed up in my feed the other day.
I went to see Stargate in
Oh, yeah,
1994,
yeah.
and they played a trailer for this
film.
during that film, and I was like, "Holy shit, this looked really good!"
Yeah.
But when it came out, it was 15 rated, I believe,
Yes,
in the
it
cinema,
was.
and then it changed to 12 when the VHS or whatever
Was
it
it
was,
12 or 12A?
or 12A, whatever. I can't remember now.
some bullcrap.
So unfortunately, I couldn't get to see the cinema when it came out on rental. Straight away, rented that bad boy out, and it's one of the.
It's intense.
It's intense
So
from
intense.
start
Yeah.
to finish.
And you actually feel like there is something at stake. I mean, you don't.
Absolutely.
A lot of the characters you don't really care for, but Stallone, when he gets in there, you're
Yeah.
like, well, now you've got to get out. How are you going to get out?
Yeah, because I think there's only the very start of the movie is the cause of the accident. And then we get introduced to one character, which is the main female of
Yeah.
it. But we don't see Stallone until the accident's done. It's happened.
that's it.
And that's when we get introduced to him because he's still like a taxi driver or something at the time
Yeah.
because he's a retired, like I said, Iago and whatnot. But again, practical explosions, practical effects with the situation of the tunnel being blown either two ends of the tunnel. But the thing I love about this film is that it's one of those natural disaster films where something's resolved,
Yes.
then something happens straight after that resolution. Yes. Right? So, like, we've stopped the water running. Okay. But the fire's still going,
Yeah.
and the heat's going to extend, and we're not going to get oxygen.
And we can't put the fire out 'cause there's
we
no
put the
water.
fire out. Now the water's rising.
Yeah.
It's just constant on and on.
So you're cause and effect. Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. That's the word. Cause and effect. Cause and effect.
it,
And that's what I love. It. Directed by Rob Cohen, straight
It
up of
is,
Fast
yeah.
and Furious
Yep,
and Dragonheart and all that sort of
Yep.
stuff. And he makes a cameo in this film.
He does.
Yeah. But again,
God.
the action set pieces for Stallone himself. Mary sort of touched on it a bit, but there are parts with, like you said, when he gets into the ventilation system, the part where he has to make an explosion to stop the fire,
Yeah.
and then a fucking 18-wheeler trucker is rolling
Yeah.
towards him to try and get out the way and everything.
It's a sodding practical effect.
Exactly. It's so
actually
good.
happening.
It's like when you watch one of those Universal rides, and it's like coming towards you or something, you know.
Do you remember a film called Earthquake?
Yes, the original.
That was
they've done a ride to that, didn't
That
they?
was the ride
Disney.
Yeah,
I've been on that as well. That is amazing.
Yeah, been on that as well.
When that truck comes sliding towards you.
So I remember the original Universal ride of that because I went in 1987 was the first time I'd ever been to Universal, and I remember going through that. And when you do the backlot tour, you do that, and you're underground as it happens, and then like your feet are getting wet because it's filling up from underneath.
Yeah,
and then the water starts
like
trickling down,
like a subway train.
Yeah, that's
you're
it.
on,
And then all of a sudden, like this truck comes down through the ceiling, like
it drops like from the road, comes down to your level,
flames either side of you, and
the water comes down, doesn't it? The staircase.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
And you think it's going to come at you, but it literally goes to you and then down.
It's so well designed, that ride.
It
Brilliant.
frightens the shit out of you.
But the thing with that ride is straight after that. Now, do you remember Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah.
So you come out of that ride and you go into another backlot, or used to go into another backlot tour, and there was a laser battle between Cylons.
Oh, I missed that.
Yes, I remember that.
And they
I
were
went early 90s, so I missed it.
good. And then you, because the A-Team was really big, you then went into the backlot, and there was Hannibal Smith in the lizard outfit with the cigar in his hand. And like animatronic, obviously, but like that was really cool. But yeah, Daylight and that scene reminded me of that Universal ride.
Absolutely, it does, doesn't it? It's just,
that's all I see in my head now. Those two bits, like as if it's one film. Oh,
but Mary, you mentioned a dog survives. We get that part, but there's also
the
scenes
owner
in this.
Doesn't, but
the owner doesn't. Yeah, but there's also parts where other characters die, and there's the part where Stallone's character has to realise that I can't save everyone. Like one of them breaks his neck, doesn't he? So he can't.
That's the police officer.
There you go. Yeah.
Basically, he's going, no, you'll make it out of here alive. Not with a broken neck, I will.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we can get you out of here. Just let them see daylight.
Yeah, there you go. See. There's a guy named George. Tell him I want my bracelet back. But no, again, it's. I just love how, like you said, Stallone resolves one thing, then they're all, we're all fine, whatnot. Then something happens, and then again, it's him telling them, I've slowed it down. I can't physically stop it. No matter what I do, this is going to, we need to get the fuck out of it. And how they try and do it, and I think there's a part at the very end where a majority of them escape, but Stallone and another lady stays behind, or the stairwell breaks. I can't remember now. And there's a part where Stallone's character is like, I'm sick and tired of this now. I'm just going to just do something. Everything I do, something else happens. I'm just going to play. And there's a part where he has to make another explosion, so the air bubble would push them out into out to open water at the top of it, out the top of this tunnel. But there's a part when he's actually chatting to the tunnel. He's like, that's right, I found your heart and I fucking run. And the way he slams his bomb into the wall, where he's just like, he is physically and done. He's physically fucking done with this. He wants out of here now. And I just felt it, and I felt it with Stallone in this. It's such an underrated film of his.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's one of those ones, I think, Mary, where you might agree with me with this, and the ones where it's one that was out, but not everyone saw it.
No, it was on the back of, like I said, the other two films. He just seemed to be on a downward spiral after that point. And like his next film after that went straight to DVD sort of thing. So he was definitely kind of on a losing streak. I don't think he'd won out of favour. I just don't think this got the respect it deserved when it came out. There was an awful lot of people just going, it's just Stallone being Stallone.
Yet another Stallone.
I hate when people say it. It aggravates the shit out of me.
And yes, it is, but it's not as well. Like he is an action star in this. He is definitely the hero of this.
Every actor, even today, make bad films as well as good films. So you have to respect. To appreciate the good films, you have to have seen the bad ones as well. Because
I mean, you got the lead up to this. Everything Stallone's done up to this point, Tango and Cash.
God.
And that was a decent film. But it was an action buddy film that had Kurt Russell not running.
But it doesn't run, does he?
But no, he doesn't. And it's a prison escape film. It's like you've got all the Rocky franchise. You've got Demolition Man, like we said, Cobra. All of these films that he's done, and then he's kind of now beginning to come out of kind of favour, and the two that he's done, haven't really done as well. I didn't realise that Assassins was directed by Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Superman fame.
He's done some bloody.
It's like he was trying to find his way, wasn't he? 'Cause
Yeah.
he's like, well, okay, I'm moving on.
I need to no longer.
Did you ever see a specialist?
Yes.
Oh, the specialist.
The specialist. Sharon Stone, yeah. But though, yeah, and that was. I'm
Stop
done.
or my mum will shoot.
Stop on my mum.
Oh, don't.
But those were blockbusters. Those were Stallone being an action hero. Like The Specialist is him being a sleazy action hero, but it has this whole feel to it. And Assassins should have been something like that. Now I quite like Assassins, but it runs off the back of, there was a film at the time, Bridget Fonda, called The Assassin.
The Assassin, yeah.
Such a good film.
It is a good movie.
But I thought it was that when I actually rented it, and when I watched it, I was like,
and it was like, oh shit.
"There's no women
It's got an
in
extra
this."
S. It's got an extra S to it.
There's an extra testicle. But then watching that film, I quite enjoyed it. But then it didn't really. It was generic.
Yeah.
And I was quite young at the time, so like action films were the thing, And then this was the first time I'd actually seen Stallone emote on screen, and it was there. And the next time I don't think we got to see him was till Copland.
That's good.
And
It's a good
Copland is
movie.
where he yet again he gets to act. I think.
But he really does. Again, it's underrated.
Yeah, have any of you seen his latest kind of? I can't remember the name of it now. It's on Paramount. His TV show, not the Stallones.
Tuscan King or something, or something like that.
Tucson
King or whatever. Yeah.
King.
It's really good.
Is it?
And he is acting in that as well, and it almost looks effortless for him now. And I really rate that. Like some of his films, 100 Bullets or whatever, which was based on the comic book.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right.
He wasn't very good in that. The film just didn't do him justice, I don't feel. But then some of his writing as well, like, he wrote Rocky, his directorial stuff, like,
He's so talented.
Saturday Night Fever, for God's
Produce,
sake.
star, writes, directs. Jesus
paints,
Christ,
the
he's
guy
done more than
paints.
Arnie does.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, he's not everyone's cup of tea.
He was a
get it.
governor.
That's true. All right, maybe, yeah.
But this film definitely is the start of him going, no, I am more than punch you in the face, scream at you,
Absolutely.
I think that was the point,
wasn't
wasn't it? And that's probably why a lot of those films didn't quite hit the mark for people, because they didn't want that from him. But he was trying to say, but this is what I can do. You just haven't seen it yet.
Because Arnie did that as well. Like I know, End of Days isn't kind of an Arnie film as such. It's kind of got that whole religion aspect and the End of Days and the devil possession.
It's a New Year's Day movie.
Yeah, it is. But in that, he actually acts as well.
He does.
Yeah, he does pretty good in that. Yeah, considering how cheesy it is, it's really good.
He dies at the end, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually looks like the character he's portraying, and he doesn't try to kind of do the smiley Arnie that you get. He's actually fucked up.
Yeah, he's
pissed
depressed
off.
and everything. Yeah.
The film is really bad.
There's like a part where it really got to me. Because he speaks to a priest and he's like, "Now I have to believe in God to solve a crime." It's like that, like gets you sort of thing. I was like, "That's pretty good."
And it's the two of them together. And I think Daylight was the start to go, oh, actually, Stallone is more than this. And then that leads into your stuff like Copland.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from that point forward, like I really think. And I can't believe that I put it at number 3, but not higher. But yeah, it is his first start into that kind of realm.
Nice. Yeah, go on, sorry, John.
Do you remember a magazine? Was it Empire magazine?
Yeah, magazine.
Well, at the time, Empire gave Daylight 4 stars out of 5, stating Daylight is a great movie because it never tries to be any more than it is. A disaster movie with all the special effects hoopla that the 90s can bring.
100%.
Spot on.
100%.
Okay. And it put it as a disaster movie, so it qualifies. Yes! Nice one, John. Let's go to number ones.
It's number 1.
Bring it home, John. Whiff. What's number
some
1?
Bastard pinched my number 1.
Oh.
Well.
God damn it, Howard.
God damn it. No, it was Mario.
Oh!
Yes. That's two of mine he's nicked.
Mario ruins all
Right,
of our list.
my number 1.
You sound like my mum.
Yeah, he had my number 2 for Armageddon.
I'd like you to rephrase that, John.
And my number 1 is The Day After Tomorrow.
Well, technically, I stole it first.
Technically, Ian
Oh,
stole
you
it,
stole
but
it.
yeah.
Right, okay, right. Yeah,
I'll just
Dennis,
blame Mario.
2004, yeah. Roland Emmerich.
I've been back at work.
Dennis Quaid, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ian Holm. The budget was 125 million, and the box office was 555 million.
Nice.
So a nice little return. But, you know, what we were saying about all the different bits in it, the one bit in it that sticks out for me is the bit where he's sledding across the ice to try and get to New York, to try and get the sun.
He's giving up on vehicles and he gets the dog.
Yeah, but there's never a bit where it's almost like he falls. It's almost like he falls through the ice.
Yes,
and you think, oh, it's like a crevasse, you know. And when you actually look at it, it's like this glass dome in a fucking building. And
yes,
and
that's when the guy holds it up from, doesn't he?
Stories down on it, like. Fucking shit to myself. I was like looking at it going, oh my god.
That bit cringes because when he holds it, he's cutting his hand at the same time.
And you can hear it cracking, and you think, because they show you just how far off the ground he is. And doesn't the sled go with him as well? And he's trying to get him. Oh,
but that's one of those things where your stomach just drops out of your arse.
Yeah. I always, that part always stuck out with me. I'm like, oh my god, because like you see a lot of these ice and movies where they go across the ice and they go into a crevasse and it's like maybe say 20, 30 feet down. But this was like hundreds of feet and they were off and it's like, oh man, that was scary. And obviously you get to think like, well, just how deep is the fucking snow? Because they're on top of this building.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really when a lot of things like that kind of makes it hit home for you really. Because you kind of think, oh, it's only just like 20 feet, maybe 20 feet of snow. But when you realise it's actually covered this building.
It's like an abandoned mall or something,
or
something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a grey. Is it a grey? Is it
like the glass roof of it?
It's a glass roof of something. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but yeah, and you can hear the glass cracking as well.
Yeah, as he goes over. Yeah,
and then the road. I think isn't it him and the little the sled.
Yeah,
fall and you can
and it's too heavy. That's why the guy cuts off. And
you can hear the glass cracking. Also, it's cutting the rope as it's swinging. You know, like oh my god, that's what I think. Why I had to put it as my number one because that's not.
I'm very surprised. I put it number one because I didn't think anyone would have this. I'm very surprised how it's quite on people's list.
Another film very similar was 2012. If you ever
the same guy is Ron Emmerich again. Yeah, that's a long film. That's not 3 hours long. That is.
This was the director that I was talking about earlier when I was saying the modern director that specialises in these films. He is the only one that seems to take on disaster films. Independence Day was his.
And we saw the recent one he did with the moon.
Yes,
the moon's coming towards the earth. Remember that?
Was it Moonfall or something?
Something like that. Was it Moonfall?
Yeah, it's Moonfall. Unless
was
that's
that
the new James Bond film.
Halle Berry. Yes, that's it. Yes, it was.
Yeah, but he seems to be the only one that goes. Seems like I could do this. This is a good idea. And it's fine because like he's
got a good backtrack for it.
If you can get every single disaster covered, then at least 10 of them or more are going to hit, aren't they? And he seems to do quite well. Like this definitely does well. Independence Day was a good. I mean, depends how you're going to class it as a disaster film, but
it is. Yeah.
In essence, it is. It's end of world apocalyptic kind of. I know it's aliens, not a natural disaster, but you know the stakes are still there. And Jeff Goldblum is a king. But Will Smith not so much. But and Randy Quaid as the mad pilot. You know, but yeah, Emmerich just he seems to be the one that takes on all these natural disasters now and just gives them that flair of his. That this is what it's going to become, and it makes it interesting. Like
it's like Ant's favourite saying, which is leave your brain at the door and just go in and enjoy the film. You know, you're not meant to take it apart and dissect it. You just watch it and enjoy it for what it is. It's a very, very good film.
I agree with that on the first watch. On the second watch is when I normally pick up on the
I must admit, the second watch is for dissection.
They left that reflection in that mirror.
For fuck's sake.
It's normally
they would never do that.
Oh my god, that's so unreal. Everyone knows you mix hydrogen with
it's true. The first
axe would never hold him up.
No. Exactly. And that rope would have snapped by now. Fuck's sake, how was he hanging on there for so long? I know. Like you say, the second and third watch is like you're picking bits in it now, looking for bits. But yeah, so I mean, it's like I say. I mean, it was. There was another film I wanted to put in, but I realised that I'd only seen the other film once, whereas I'd seen that one quite a few times, and every time I watch it, I enjoy it. So I thought, I've got to put it as number one then.
Nice pick, sir. Over to Mario then for number one.
Yeah, nothing new from me. Because it's already been taken. And it was H's number 2. The Impossible.
Oh, was it really?
It really was.
Oh, wow, okay.
The amount of heart in that film, and you covered it there. Tom Holland does act his heart out. For some reason, when I went back to look at this, I thought George Clooney was the main man.
Oh, right.
In my head, don't know why. And then when I read I was like, oh yeah, no, it is Ewan McGregor. And then kind of recounting everything like you just said there, like the whole film opening, it's all kind of like. I remember going to the cinema to watch it. I remember sitting there and in the first 20 minutes going, why am I here? What am I exactly watching? Like, this is a bit meh. And then, like you say, the wave hits. And then from that point forward, your heart is just racing.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't let up, does it?
No. And just when they can't, you kind of think, oh, finally.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're okay. Hold on, why is she passing out? What's going on here? What's going on? Yeah. And that might,
And then he because he wants to go and keep checking, and he leaves the kids at the camp.
He goes to save people, doesn't he? He goes looking for his brothers, but he's actually bringing people back.
Yes, yeah.
To the hospital bit, like and finding people and helping people out, and he keeps coming back to his mum, and then he's going, I won't be like, and then he's back again.
And then she's gone.
Yeah, and he's running backwards and forwards the whole time, and like she's getting worse, but she's not getting worse. And when he has to go and find a doctor, but he can't find a doctor, all the stakes in it all.
I'll tell you, one of the scenes was where Ewan McGregor, he's sat with like a group of survivors, and they're trying to figure out where they're going to go, what's going to happen, what they're going to do. And one of them's got a mobile phone, and he's been trying to save the battery just in case somebody will ring him. But he gives it to Ewan McGregor because he sits there and he says, I need to phone home. And he makes this phone call, and I don't know. I mean, Ewan McGregor just pulled it out of his arse there because about 5 seconds into the call, he's talking to his brother or his uncle or whoever he's talking to, and he just bursts into tears, and he's just so real.
We're okay.
Yeah. And then he literally breaks down, and it's not
believable.
It's not acting.
Yeah.
He literally he taps into something there because he just blubbed. He just blubbed for like a couple of minutes, and then the guy, he hands the phone back to the guy. And he says, "Oh, thank you very much." And he goes, "No, you can't leave it there, mate. Phone this guy back and tell him what's going on."
Yeah,
and it really gets to
and the fact that it's based on the real events is just even more astounding. And that's the other reason that I put it at number 1 is because it happened. And although it's sensationalized, it's Hollywoodized, it happened. And there is a good result from it. Not everything that happened that day resolves well.
No, I mean that's a good outcome,
and I'm not sure that everything that happened that day would make that good of a story. That story that you lose hope, you get hope, and then at the end of it, you just feel relief.
Yeah.
And that whole film just encompasses that in disaster, in a disaster that was real. And I think that's another reason. Like that's probably one of the most recent disaster films of our time.
I remember when it happened, and that was shocking.
It's unbelievable, wasn't it?
And you look at you're watching the news and literally every news channel and every newspaper. It's big story.
Since 9/11, it was the biggest thing that had happened, and it wasn't caused by any person. It was,
and the amount of people like they reckon it killed was it 100,000 or something like that? It's phenomenal.
Took out beach resorts.
And it's like thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
And you think, how the fuck can something like that be that big? But then you start
because Godzilla dived into the ocean.
Damn you, Godzilla.
Yeah. Basically, the Marianas Trench opened up. Big lizard, big
and it's a shame that because at the time it takes something like this for people to get together and go, do you know what, we're going to do something. And people were going out there, they were sending clothes and money and food.
Huge, wasn't it?
Big resolve in order to help.
They did a big comedy thing, which was like a concert, wasn't it? Kind of like Live Aid, wasn't it? But like to fund people from the tsunami, wasn't it?
But it wasn't finished once it had finished, sort of thing. Because once it had all died down, not only did you have the problem of like disease and stuff, because all that water had brought all the sewage up, and then of course all the people that had died as well. How do you recover those that are unrecoverable underneath buildings and stuff? And so you get disease, you then get all those horrible things.
Famine and disease and homelessness.
And although the film didn't cover those, you kind of got
No, but
whole
you've got a
scope of it.
snapshot of that,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah.
Because you could see it, and there's in the background there's these characters and there's quick asides, and you can just without saying anything,
You can see you can see it.
in one scene you can just go, oh, that is now the outcome of that, and that's what's going to happen to these people.
Yeah.
But also what I like was a lot of the villagers. Literally, so Tom Holland and Naomi Watts are sort of make their way. Oh, that's it. They climb into a tree, don't they? And then there's these two villagers from the local village just walking, just checking for survivors, and they wave them down, and just without a second's thought, they just start helping them.
Yeah.
And drag them back to the village. They clothe them, they feed them, they get them on a truck, and they take them to the hospital. And again, I was blubbering my eyes out. So I thought, it's a beautiful thing. It was just such a beautiful thing to see. But you know, we see lots of horrible things in this world, and to see that,
I think there are actually good people out there.
there's good people out there. It just restores your faith in humanity.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice.
Told you I was a big pussy.
There we go. And that was
Again, when you think about it in that situation, I mean, yeah.
What do? You
Exactly.
You do the right thing.
Yeah.
Nice, good pick, sir.
Yeah, very good pick, mate.
Howard, what's your number one, sir?
My number one is a 1998 film by Michael Salomon, and it is called Hard Rain.
I was going to put this on the list. This was one of the ones I mentioned earlier.
Christian Slater, right?
Christian Slater
Yes.
and Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Yeah. Where Morgan Freeman plays a bad guy.
He does indeed.
A bad guy, inverted commas. What a great film. And
I don't remember this much apart from Floods.
And
That's all I
Randy,
remember.
and Randy Quaid as well.
yeah, that's right.
Is it really?
He plays the sheriff. Yeah, he plays Mick the sheriff. Is it Mickey?
Mickey the sheriff, who then locks up Christian Slater because he thinks Christian Slater's a bad guy.
Yeah, because Minnie Driver said, I think this guy's a bad guy, even though he's trying to help.
in it as
Yeah,
well,
Minnie
yeah.
Driver.
Mini Driver.
Should we just create a list of all of our top women from films?
Top
Totty,
Totty, yeah.
We're gonna top
Actually,
Totty.
that could be an
Top
episode.
action Totty.
I don't think we get many
top
listeners.
five.
I want John to read it out as well.
Top 5 Totty. I tell you
In his
that.
sexy voice.
Mini
Driver. I like it.
Michelle
I driver.
Fucking hell, John.
and my favourite, Sandy. Sandy Bullock.
Sandy Bullock.
Oh dear.
This kind of went under the radar for me when it came out, and I wasn't a big Christian Slater film, and I think about the same sort of
Sorry.
we've lost time. He did one, I think it was called Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow is a good
Yeah,
movie.
it was
John
fair.
Travolta comeback.
That's right.
One
yeah.
of John Woo's early films.
He followed it up with this one, and I wasn't really into his films at the time, and I liked Morgan Freeman, and it had the elements of a film that I should have watched, but I watched this a couple of years later on VHS, or maybe even DVD at that time. You say it was, you just remember it about being about a flood. That's what it was originally going to be called. It was just going to be called The Flood.
The Flood.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
They changed the name as filmmakers. The filmmakers didn't want audiences to kind of associate it primarily as a disaster movie. They wanted it to be about the characters
Heist.
and the
It was
story.
supposed to be a heist film.
And at its core, that's what it is. It's a heist film. So Christian Slater and his, I think it's either his uncle or his grandfather or something like that. Ed Asner.
I don't remember now, but I know there's somebody.
Well, they're carrying. They're basically van men. They're carrying bags of money to the local bank, whatever. And at the backdrop of this flood, and it basically it's a dam that's going to burst its banks.
Right.
I think it's set in Oklahoma, isn't it?
It is, and what they then do is, rather than burst its banks, they release the water anyway.
just
They
release the
release
water.
the sluice gate and open it all up to the world.
Yeah, in order,
Jesus.
it's going to happen. So let's try and control it to a degree. The heist element comes in where Morgan Freeman and his little gang of merry men, they're going to attack this van anyway, and the flood just confuses the situation. It turns out that the grandfather stroke uncle, played by Ed Asner, he's in on this.
Good old Ed Asner.
Good old Ed Asner. Yeah, very good actor. I like
Yeah,
him.
I
Actually,
like
and unbeknownst to Christian Slater's character, this is going down. So he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to stop the bad guys.
Yep.
He's trying to save his uncle, who gets shot anyway. And he ends up at the church where he meets Minnie Driver because he's chasing these cash bags. Somehow, I think they get knocked out the back of the van, don't they, or something like that.
I think
They
the
get
van
washed away.
hits something and it opens the doors. It's
can't
that
remember.
cheesy kind of something happens.
Something happens, and then soming else replaces it.
There you go. See, it's like the formula for a disaster movie, isn't it?
But it works, doesn't it?
And after Christian Slater realizes they're going to be robbed, he runs into the town to go, "Oh, you need to help me! You need to help me!" And the guy goes, "Well, no, you're in on it, so you're going to be arrested." So
that's it. Yeah. Because the assumption is that he already knew, and he gets to the church where Minnie Driver's refusing to leave the town because she's doing a lot of renovation work on his church. It's her church, and he meets her, and she thinks that he's in on it, and then she reports him to the sheriff, and then it all goes down from there. But yeah, it's just a great film set to the backdrop. I think this is what I was trying to say. It's the perfect example of a film where you've got the threat element in the background, which is the natural disaster. But all of this shit is going on at the forefront of the camera. Right. It's like in Jaws, where Brody's on the beach and all of a sudden that Spielberg pulls off that amazing
the trombone shot. Yeah. I love that shot.
It's like that for me, where the trombone shot is or the characters in the forefront and everything else is kicking off in the background.
I love how the background moves with. It's such a clever shot.
Yeah, and I mean, for those that haven't seen it, I won't spoil it what happens at the end. But Morgan Freeman plays a great bad guy. What's interesting though is that he hates this film. He refuses to be associated.
Really?
He's not the only one. Slater apparently hates it as well.
Really?
Christian Slater has.
Was it like a tough time filming it?
I don't think it's a tough time filming it. I don't think it was a high point in either of their careers.
Right.
Like I think it's a kind of situation where like we need some money and we need a film.
We'll do it for the money. Yeah, and it didn't just go under the radar for me. It went under the radar for a lot of people. I think it was on VHS.
I know of it.
Yeah, video.
Christian Slater can't slag it. Is he not? Have you ever seen Churchill?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Harry Enfield and Neve Campbell. Yes. Jesus Christ, come on.
Yeah,
and he's
that's his down point.
Saying hard rains.
Well, also it's the first film to have Christian Slater and Morgan Freeman since Robin Hood, and they both did this film because they knew.
Holy shit! Yes, you're right.
Will Scarlett and I can't remember what his character, Morgan Freeman's character name is.
Azim something.
Hazim. Is that Welsh? No, it's Moorish. Oh.
Irish, Cornish,
Moorish.
Moorish. Yeah.
So the other did the film because they knew the other was going to be in it.
Oh, okay.
And Mikhail, so another Abyss fact is Mikhail Solomon worked on this film, but they chose him specifically for it because he did a lot of the production work on the Abyss. He was the underwater tank guy. Hollywood.
Well, there's a lot of water in this film.
There's a lot of bloody water in this film, and based on the shots that he managed to pull off for John Cameron in that film, they chose him for this, and it shows, it pays off. And I think if you don't know that fact, you look at it and think the cinematography on this film is absolutely outstanding.
Good.
Yeah.
See, again, I'm going to go with Marion. This when we mentioned you've seen it once, and because this was 1996 or something,
98.
Oh, 98. So this came out on Sky maybe early 2000s.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I've seen it. So I can barely remember much of it.
Like I said to you, I'm tugging on memory strings.
This was a blockbuster. So when I lived in Burgess Hill, this was one of the ones that used to bring up on the Blockbuster board, and it was pick of the week or whatever it was.
And
then I'd go and grabbed it when it first came out on video and watched it. And I think I watched it like 3 or 4 times that weekend. And that was why some of it sticks in my mind quite. And Christian Slater's kind of return sort of thing to acting. Like you say, you're not a fan of him. Like I get that because like some of his overacting is horrendous.
Orange sherbet.
But I remember like him or my liking of him came from Young Guns.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Because I came into, and then when I saw him in Robin Hood after that, and then I think there was a few other films that he kind of been a Broken Arrow coming back. I was like, and then Mr. Robot when I saw him in that TV
that's a good
show,
series.
Him in that was really good. And he's just got this. I think it's his voice that some people don't like, or the way that he portrays himself like quite sleazy. Even when he's playing a good guy, he comes across quite sleazy. But
he's got that distinctive voice, though, isn't he? Yeah, you can tell that's him straight away as soon as you hear it.
But this definitely was another one of his his good films.
Yeah,
Better
I get
films.
that,
Hey, it was going to go on your list, you said.
It was going to go on my list. It was one of the ones. In fact, it was going to go at number 2, and I just kind of went, no, there's got to be something better than that out there.
Oh, mate.
And then
He's
it knocked-
dissing your one straight away.
No. In my opinion, this is like completely my opinion, and it got knocked out by everything else that was on there. And it was only because The Impossible was a last-minute addition. Because I was sat there with Sam and we were going through it all, and I just went, yeah, so all these disaster films, and then she said, oh, what about that one about the tsunami? And I was like, there isn't one about the tsunami. And then I went back and looked and was like, oh yeah, that deserves pride of place. That really does. And then
I would have put it at number 1. I think it's purely because when this film came out, I did rave about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it just sticks out in the memory. And when you're compiling lists and you think, what deserves to be at number 1? Yeah, for story and the production and the filmmaking and the acting, I think The Impossible is absolutely a number 1 spot film.
I think I agree with you with The Hard Rain, though. I mean, for God's sake, the title tells it all. It's Hard Rain. Hard Rain.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than The Flood.
Yes.
I mean, The Flood sounds like a horror film.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I believe there is a horror film called The Flood as well.
I mean, The Flood today, mate. I just...
Probably is.
But Hard Rain just says it all. Like that film is just it's Morgan Freeman playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
What more do you ever want?
Rare appearance
very rare.
for Morgan
He
Freeman.
was a bad guy in Outbreak as well.
He
wasn't
was, yeah.
Yes, he was.
But like you say, there aren't very many films where he's a
And Wanted.
guy.
And Wanted.
Oh,
Shoot this motherfucker.
I love that film.
Right, it's good, yeah.
love that
I
film.
forgot about him.
Matthew Vaughn, isn't it? Is it Matthew Vaughn directed?
No, it was
No.
the guy who is a Russian director
Yes,
who
he is.
did Night Watch and Day Watch. Yeah.
yes. I think that's probably his best turn as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for that line.
Shoot that
Shoot this motherfucker. Anything else on Hot Rain?
No, it's deserved of his number 1 spot.
I think
Do you know, I think I really need to rewatch it.
I think-
Again.
yeah, I
It's
think
been a
it will.
while.
It's not on Netflix or Prime, so I'm going to
Oh, that's what he's been doing. You're meant to be listening, John.
I am listening.
In between his 2
listening
hour
to the point that
John,
I want to watch it.
There are other streaming providers.
No, I know.
in between his 2 hour shift, he's going to be there going, what do I watch?
Where's the fucking
4 hours.
torrent? Right. Okay. So my number 1 then. How the fuck do I follow Impossible? Right. Okay. My number 1 was very close between one movie that was my number 1. Then I had to take it up because it has a massive sci-fi element to it. But I'll say it in the honorable mentions, and I'll let you guys decide whether it should have been number 1 or not. But my number 1 replacement is Deepwater Horizon.
Yes.
With
I've
Mark Wahlberg.
I've got a story behind that. But go on.
Mark Wahlberg.
No.
It's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
And he's always out of breath.
that's not what it is. But I've got a serious note behind that.
All right, okay.
So you say what you've got to say first.
And that's fine. Hang on 1 second. Let me just get something ready. Right. So, so Deepwater Horizon. If anyone doesn't know about it, it's about the oil rig that blew up, or the oil pipe that burst in 2010, caused a massive outroar with the oil spillage. And do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Isn't the Gulf of Mexico? Or something, right?
Directed by Peter Berg. I love Peter Berg. It's a shame I forgot to mention him in my favourite director episode, because I do love him as a director. Have you ever seen The Kingdom? By far my favourite
Yeah.
Peter Berg film ever done. But the reason I put this on here is because it's... So I like where it takes you from the start. So it's all about how you work as an oil rigger. So like their home life, whatnot. They mention to their wives, right, my shift's coming up. I'm going to be away for 3 weeks, so I'll never see my family for quite, few days, whatnot or so. Focuses on Mark Wahlberg and a couple other characters that work in different departments of this oil rig. And then we get to, I forgot, Kurt Russell's in it, who doesn't run.
He doesn't run.
And there's a good reason for that in this movie as well.
Does he get leg hurt?
Yeah, well, he gets blown up near enough. He loses his eyesight. Anyway, so yeah, we come across him. He is essentially Mark Wahlberg's supervisor, and they have a great chemistry between one another, whatnot. It's quite interesting because it shows how so we all work in an airport. So in order to be on an oil rig, you kind of have to check in like an actual passenger, and you have to like register, and obviously you get flown by helicopter to an oil rig, whatnot, sort of thing. But at the same time, they are getting visited by BP that actually owned the oil rig at the time, and obviously everyone that's an oil rig is just normal day by day person trying to earn a living. You've got the BP guys played by John Malkovich, who mentions that at the time, when before the thing blew up in 2010, they were 186 billion worth dollars at the time. So they go on this oil rig to throw some tests because apparently they have not been producing as much oil as they should be for profit wise, whatnot. And this is where another part of it goes to show the higher boss side of pressure to. You have to deliver. You must perform, and I'm sure we've all gone through that situation at the airport at some point in time where you need to, produce more, give more. So obviously they are essentially the cause of what happens, the catastrophe. They test the oil pipe itself, and the pressure amounts. Now, this is a movie that is about an hour and 40 minutes long. Nothing happens until 50 minutes in, and again, this is what I love about Peter Berg. It's like Aliens. Aliens, nothing happens in the first hour. No. It just builds characters and makes you want to actually give a shit about these people, the situation that's going to happen, but it still builds at the same time. The tension's building because you know what's going to happen. You know the real story to it or not. And then when it happens, good fucking God, does it happen? Starting with the pipe exploding with the pressure, all the mud's coming out, and you see all the men that ricochet off the pipes that they're
trying to seal it back in, and
everything, and then it slows down, and then the pipe comes up again, and it's a constant thing that's constantly happening. And I think there's a part where the oil actually starts to show up, and then it just whooshes through this amazing oil rig. It's just crazy how it's done. And then obviously Kurt Russell gets blown up. He's in the shower, gets blown up. Obviously, it's oil that's they're producing, so gas is also producing at the same time, so nothing can be ignited, but there's shots where Peter Berg shows you there's lights and there could be cracks in the bulb, and obviously that might give the spark that will ignite it, which it doesn't. It ends up being something else, but it's that slow burn of like, right, this situation's happening, now something else is happening here, and building on like the other, again, going back to the big guys who own the big bucks saying, why are you calling in a Mayday? It's just an oil spillage. It's just, it puts you in perspective of what actually it is like to deal with people like that and stuff. And then obviously until they see it for themselves and realize their life is in danger, very much like in Titanic, when you're like, all the rich guys are like, no, I go first because, this happens.
I have the money and I can't survive. Nobody will survive without
Exactly. And obviously it ignites, it catches fire, and then it's all about trying to get these people off this fucking rig. Long story short, obviously Mark Wahlberg gets off with Kurt Russell, and there's a scene with Kurt Russell where he goes to John Malkovich, and instead of like saying, this is all your fault, this is like, this is happening, my guys have died because of you, there's a part where he just goes up to John Malkovich and just looks at him, doesn't say anything else. He's like, and John Malkovich is like, okay, I know this is all me. I basically caught, made manslaughter here. This is all my fault. But I just love how, because if it was me, fucking hell, I would have been like
hitting him, punching him, shouting in his
face. Absolutely. And then obviously there's a part after that where they recall some of the men, they ring out some of the names. Some don't answer, some people do answer, whatnot. They obviously get back, they get away, they get to a hotel, and there's this scene where Mark Wahlberg goes in, he's trying to find his wife and his child at the time, but before he does that, a random father pushes him aside and says, where's my son? Where is my son? And Mark Wahlberg can't answer because he's probably dead. If he's not here now, he's dead. But how do you say something like that? And he doesn't. It's so like heartfelt, and you feel it. How Peter Berg does it is brilliant. And obviously, we get to the realization where he finds his wife. They check into a hotel. He never says anything until the point where he's obviously washed, dressed, and then he just breaks. He just falls to the floor and cries his heart out. Then the movie cuts, and then it's literally the very end of the film when we get to see everyone who survived that incident, and you see all the characters that played them. You see the court case that goes on. And it just, for me, I just thought it should go in there because it was a film I saw a while ago. I think it's one of the first 4K Blu-rays I bought, and I hadn't seen it for ages. Rewatched it again for this episode, and it really got to me, like Impossible had got for you guys. Yeah. And I just love how it's it's just a realistic film. It doesn't, go over the goofy part. It doesn't go over the comedic side of it. It's just full on drama, real time story, true story situation, and that's why it's gone to my number one. John, you had a story to tell?
I can't watch that film
Oh, really?
because my dad was killed in an oil rig accident.
Well, that one.
Not that one, no.
Oh, right, okay.
On a different one. And literally, not long after he was killed in it, Piper Alpha blew up.
Oh, shit.
Which is what that's based on, is it?
No, it's a different one. But so they're too much to home for me. I know of it, obviously. I remember when it came out, and I did want to watch it.
I remember seeing the news and just watching the oil come out of under that water and just seeing all those animals being coated in it.
It's not something I can watch.
Well, a lot.
Have you seen it though, or
the film? No.
All right, okay.
No. I won't watch it.
A lot of the
Well, it's understandable.
Fair play, yeah.
a lot of the survivors and those that didn't survive were flown back to Gatwick.
Yeah.
Were they
There
really?
was a big reconciliation project that went on within that week in order to get the men and the women back to meet their families. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, because like you said, they do. My dad, when he went out, they went through Aberdeen. So he used to fly from Shannon into Heathrow, and then from Heathrow up to Aberdeen, and then they used to. It was 250-mile flight in a helicopter out to Joyrig, because that's the only way they could get there. Was on helicopter.
Out in the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
And middle in the North Sea. And so when he got killed in the accident, they had to fly him back to Aberdeen.
So what happened?
He some guy fucked up basically.
Oh, okay.
And, so but we went through all of that where, Dad's away for a couple of weeks, back home for a couple of weeks, that's on and off. Then my mum had a big court case against the company to try and get compensation. So I went through all that. So that's why I can't watch that film.
Oh,
I know of it and I know the story of it,
Yeah.
but it's not something. I appreciate it and I appreciate what they've done for it, but it's not something I can sit and watch.
I never realised. Sorry, I don't mean to go off topic, but I didn't realise that this is this is part 2 of a Mark Wahlberg trilogy.
Yeah.
No way.
Did you not know that?
No.
So Peter Berg did a film called Lone Survivor.
Yeah, I know that one.
Which is the first one.
Yeah.
Deepwater Horizon 2, and then Patriot Days is
of course.
number 3.
Patriot Days.
Patriot Days is based on the bombing of Boston and the marathon.
Yeah, Boston Marathon. He plays
Boston
a cop, doesn't
Marathon.
he?
He's the cop of that,
one.
and he's in that. Again,
I've
Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah,
I've seen Lone Survivor. Lone Survivor's
it's good, man.
Good.
and it's the first time that I felt that Mark Wahlberg acted. But then, but through the first 3 quarters of that film, Mark Wahlberg is doing something that he doesn't do, which is like he's actually kind of involved. You see desperation in his face. You see him falling down the side of them.
Is he out of breath?
He's
always out of breath.
He's always out of breath,
but he hasn't seen a Transformer. But then at the end of that film, or towards the end, when they take him in and they put him in the hut to kind of hide him away from the Afghan forces, or he reverts back to being Mark Wahlberg and doing Mark Wahlberg acting, and it's like, oh, you were doing so well.
Doing so well.
You had your craft, and now it's like it's almost like they filmed the end scene first, and then went, no, you need to do a bit more of this, and then
and Mark Wahlberg was like, but I can't. I need to be Mark Wahlberg.
So I don't know Lone Survivor. What's that actually based? What's it about?
He's a sniper. Isn't he a sniper? Or
No, I don't think he's a sniper.
Anyway,
he's a soldier.
There's a group of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them,
and he's the only survivor of his unit. And he survives by living through the land and off the land, but then he gets taken in by the local kind of village, and the local village also have
is it a shepherd guy or something?
But they also have like the actual forces, the I'm going to put in inverted commas, enemy forces,
chasing him all the time.
But they also come to that village as well. Like that village is almost like a stop for them. And they actually hid. It's based on a true story as well, yet again. And they hid the soldier there, and they kept him out of harm's way. And he managed to get home, and it wasn't without this family that he wouldn't have made it home. I think he gets injured as well. He gets quite badly injured, and they looked after him. They nursed him back to health. But through the whole film, he's just running from the enemy. And the enemy at one stage have kind of given up and don't think that they've killed him, something's happened to him. And then, of course, he does something like out of panic, and they then chase him again, and the chase is back on. But yeah, through that first section, like there's like that camaraderie of soldiers, they're all bad mouthing each other, having a bit of banter, and then, of course, the fighting happens. and they all start getting taken out, and then he's the last one standing. And
give it a go, dude. It's quite good.
It's a good watch. It's a good watch because it came out a similar time as the Bradley Cooper one as well.
American Sniper.
American Sniper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They both came out at a very similar time, and I watched American Sniper over Lone Survivor.
Everyone did.
Yeah. Because of Mark Wahlberg.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the story in Lone Survivor is better than the story in American Sniper, because American Sniper is about Kyle something.
Yeah,
Kyle Reese.
No.
and how he comes back in time to. Oh wait, no, sorry.
That's it. Yeah, no, and it's. I mean, it's. Yeah, I found the story better because it's more. Not more relatable. That's not the word.
So you're going to say more believable.
Lone Survivor.
I think it's because it's like you were saying
it's
about.
not as depressing as American Sniper. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like you were saying about the impossible. You know, the natives helping.
Yeah.
There's an element of that in it. You know, they're helping, trying to hide him because they can see that he's trying to do good. He's trying to help them in the long run. You know what I mean? So it's quite a good story that. Whereas American Sniper is all about Kyle. I can't remember his.
Reese.
What? I can't think what his first name
McLaughlin.
is. No. You know what I mean? So yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Lone Survivor is an easier watch, definitely. I haven't watched
Deepwater Horizon, yeah. Give it a go, man. It's good. It's very good.
Well,
it's a good film.
I think it's the best out of the three.
Yeah.
Patriot Days isn't as good. It's very, very slow burn, but yeah, I didn't realise it was actual trilogy stuff.
Yeah,
no, I didn't know it now.
I didn't know him, but yeah.
Now I feel
I
like
can
I need
see
to own
it.
it.
I can see it. Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like that trilogy.
It's like John keeps wanting to own the Ginger Dead Man trilogy.
Yeah,
He's still
I
not getting it.
I really do.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
His passion
I
for
really
the
do.
crust.
I've said to him today, I'm going to get those 3 films. I found them on eBay. I will get them.
Jesus. Anyway, some good picks there. A few clashes, but again, there's not that many great disaster movies out there at the end of the day.
Many
but
films.
honourable mentions, please. Has anyone got any at all?
I literally bottomed out on this one.
Fair enough.
So I went with Dante's Peak.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Yeah.
I went with Volcano, which
Yeah,
the two
yeah.
films came out exactly
Exact same time, yeah.
And then I can't put this on there. I was going to say San Andreas, but that
Yeah.
Oh, my
Which is
God.
the earthquake
I
movie.
haven't
Do you know what?
watched
I watched it recently because I thought, I quite enjoyed it. And I
is-
watched it again. It's like, it's fucking wank.
It's the Rock versus a fucking volcano, or an earthquake.
It's an earthquake, yeah.
It's the Rock versus the world.
It's about a rich couple with a super fit daughter, which doesn't belong to who's trying to go out with an English guy that's got the worst teeth in the world.
Standard.
And it's just like, good God, this movie's bad. Like Paul Giamatti carries that film
Well, he has
big
to,
time.
because who else is going to do it?
Exactly.
I mean, the Rock's got broad shoulders, but he's literally running up and down buildings to get to a helicopter.
Is this your example of a disaster of a movie?
Yeah, exactly that. It's a disaster movie of a disaster of a movie, yeah.
You go on.
However, the other one I got is Joe versus the volcano.
Yeah.
I so wanted to put this on there.
Yeah.
So Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. I remember now. Tom Hanks.
And it's he basically he's told that he's got an incurable disease. I can't remember what the disease is called. It's got some really stupid, melancholic kind of name. It's incurable. He thinks he's going to die. He's not.
No.
So he then goes off to this island in the middle of nowhere, which weirdly, going from Deepwater Horizon, is like he's going looking for a mineral or an oil. You can only get in this one place. They're only developing it there, so they send him out there. He volunteers. When he gets there, he discovers the island is in peril because this volcano is going to erupt. And it only erupts every 100 years. And just so happens that you're here.
Yeah, while you're there, it's going to happen.
And none of the locals want to sacrifice themselves to the volcano, but Joe does because he's got nothing else to live for except Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
And that's
Meg Ryan.
pretty much the film.
Another one for the totty
It
list.
is, yeah. So
I loved Meg Ryan. And then she got all weird.
I loved
yes,
Meg
yeah,
Ryan.
she-
Until Into the Cut. And
Well,
then
I
that was
think,
it.
I think we also mentioned one of my favourite Meg Ryan films with Dennis Quaid in as well.
Oh, Inner Space.
Inner
Yes,
Space.
of course, yes.
That was a
One of my
good
favourite Meg Ryan films. And When Harry Met Sally, but that's
Of
completely
course,
different.
yeah, of course.
Which I've seen the stage play with Alison Hannigan in.
Is it good?
Okay.
I saw it a long time ago, and I had a thing for Alison Hannigan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
And it was Alison Hannigan and Luke Perry played.
Oh, wow.
No way.
Yeah,
Late
yeah.
great Luke Perry.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's my name?
Nice.
Michelle.
It was so good. But Yeah, so those were the ones. Joe versus the Volcano
Yeah.
as my last honourable
John, have you got any
mention.
sort?
I had most of what Mario said, of course, and then like others we've mentioned, like The Core and all of that, you know.
Yeah.
But the one film I was going to put in my list, and I didn't put it in the end, was a film, don't know if any of you have seen it, called Midnight Sky.
No.
Do you remember that at all?
It sounds familiar.
I came across this.
It's a George Clooney film. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's been in the cinema or not. I saw it on Netflix. But the reason I didn't pick it is because it's about the disaster's already happened.
Right.
Oh yes,
So
sorry, he did mention
And
this
and he's almost like the last survivor on Earth, sort of thing. And he's up in the north of up near the North Pole, sort of thing. And he's monitoring these space signals, and he's trying to alert people that don't come back to Earth because Earth is dead, And he sees this little girl, and for some strange reason, his brain thinks that this little girl is real. So he sort of gets on with her, and he does things for her, and he cooks her breakfast and stuff like that. But when you get to I'm going to give away the story, but she doesn't really exist. But his
Spoilers!
I know, but his brain thinks she does, and then he finds that there's a spacecraft coming back, having been to Jupiter or some bloody place, some one of the moons that he found that you could live on. And they've obviously been out to look at it, and they're coming back. And he manages to get in touch with them, and he basically says, turn around and go back. Earth is dead. You can't come here. The radiation is killing everybody on the planet. If you come back here, you'll die. And in talking to these people on because they all want to talk to him, because they can't get a hold of anyone on Earth for ages, and they begin to think, oh, there's obviously something wrong with the ship, the radio mast is broken or whatever, and he is the only one they end up being able to talk to because he's the only one that can fucking talk to anybody, and he then realizes that one of the girls one of the pilots, I think she's the main pilot, turns out to be his daughter.
Oh.
And he had a fling 20 odd years ago, or 25 years, whenever it was, with this other woman while he was like one of these big professors and whatever. And the woman ends up getting pregnant, and he's not the kind of person that she wanted to marry. So she doesn't, they don't end up getting together. And eventually he meets her later on, and she tells him, oh, we've got this daughter, but he doesn't want to know. And it's like you were saying about getting a bit sad. I was crying in places because he's slowly starting to realise, hang on a minute, because this little girl that he kept seeing would never speak to him, and she kept drawing a picture of a flower, and it was an iris, so he named her Iris. And his daughter's, I think it was her that was her name. Right. So he knows her through the radio as Sully. So he's just talking to her as Sully. He doesn't realise who she is until...
Morning, Mike. Morning, Sully.
Yeah. So then she tells him who she is. She says to him, you sound like a really, really nice man. You'd like my mother, Jean Sullivan. And then he realises, hang on a minute, that's the woman I was with before. And he goes, like, your mother? And she goes, yeah, I'm Iris Sullivan. And then it's when he realises, because the little girl's not there anymore.
How is this not in your top five? You've talked about this more than any of your top five things.
Well, because the other films we all knew about, but because the disaster had already, they don't show you the disaster happening. It's happened. So I thought, well, I didn't really want to put it in the list then. It was say number 6. It was very close. But it's a film that you get, when you start to realise what's actually going on, you're like, oh shit.
Midnight Sky.
I forgot to add a couple to my list as well, which I just remembered, especially in company that I'm in now.
Oh yeah, come on.
Do you not remember Airport?
Yeah. Which one?
And Airport 2.
Yeah, Airport 77.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they were the comedy side of disasters, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
to a degree.
Yeah, they thought they were serious. But yeah, there was those. So maybe dishonourable mentions.
Yeah,
dishonourable mentions.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
but there.
Cool. My number one was going to be Sunshine.
Oh, that would have been one of mine.
But it's more of a situation thing, I would have thought.
It's still a
I don't know. No, I still think it classes as disaster.
I think it's still a
I
disaster.
mean, we know the sun's. No one knows it's about the sun dying.
yeah.
And they need to
Yeah,
send a nuclear bomb to wake it up, basically.
Armageddon, Bruce Willis on his way back from
But
the other one.
it is my favourite Danny Boyle film of all time.
Yeah.
But because of and the best performance by Chris Evans ever.
Yeah.
Like, fuck Captain America.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah,
his
yeah.
all-time favourite. Best.
I believe there's another film that he's better in. One of your favourites, or one of your favourite characters.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
But anyway, continue. Sorry.
So that would have been my number one, but obviously I changed it because I wasn't too sure if it was classed as it or not. Gravity.
Gravity.
Yes,
Gravity.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
still
that's
count
the
that.
one.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock again as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm quite surprised no one mentioned it, but I'm not sure if it classes. But I put the Poseidon Adventure.
No, that classes. That 100% classes.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as we don't put the sequel in, we're all good.
That would have been one of my honourable mentions, but I didn't want to put it in my list because of the hint that you said the other day. I thought he's fucking got to have that on his list.
Shit! Oh, sorry.
Because
I just put it as an example.
Because I texted him the other day, guys, and I just basically said to him, "So what do you constitute a disaster movie?" And he basically said, "Well, any building that burns down or any ship that turns upside down." I thought, well, that's the towering inferno of the Poseidon.
famous films of its time.
Gene Hackman playing a religious zealot that saves everybody
Yeah.
on a boat that turned
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah.
Sorry, a cruise liner
Yeah.
that turned upside down.
And I could
he
not
dies,
put
doesn't he?
the
He
Towering
does,
Inferno in, but I thought I can't then put the Poseidon as well.
But then
So I
this-
didn't.
So-
you should have done.
Then you've got from
yeah.
that.
Poseidon
you get-
Adventure was one of those ones that was on Channel 3 all the
Yeah,
time. And my dad
always.
made me watch it.
I think there's been
There is a sequel, right?
There is,
Yeah.
So I was getting into this.
Is
So,
it Return to the Poseidon Adventure?
so his return
Yeah.
to Poseidon, Return to Poseidon.
Because there was a remake by Wolfgang Peterson.
another one.
But this is so Michael Caine did a disaster film in inverted commas called The Swarm.
Oh,
yes,
that's
yes,
right.
I know that,
Which
yeah.
is basically
Yeah.
bees,
Yeah.
and on the back of that, he got the second Poseidon Adventure,
Yeah.
which is basically the first one,
Yeah.
except there's a heist involved.
Yeah.
And he survives. He
He's
doesn't
trying
die.
to steal depleted uranium off the ship or something, or hidden uranium, or I can't remember the
I
full
don't remember,
details. But
yeah.
basically, it's nuclear waste or nuclear
Can't remember.
material that he's trying to steal from the boat,
I
and then
know
the
of
boat
the film,
tips,
yeah.
and then he has to everyone on the same as the first one, basically, but with a slightly
With
different
Michael
reason.
Caine.
Yeah,
With Michael Bloody Caine.
Michael
Caine underwater.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Yeah.
Don't throw bloody fish at me.
When you talk about Michael Caine, because you know I'm a massive Michael Caine fan. I don't know if any of you have ever watched that film that he recently called The Great Escaper.
No.
That's the most recent one he's
That
done,
is
isn't
what
it?
he's-
Yeah.
I don't think he'll make any more because he's quite old.
No, he's retired now, isn't he?
I remember that's based on an actual true event, and I remember when that happened.
Is it a natural disaster?
No. That's why it's not. It's not a disaster. But it's one of the very few Michael Caine films that actually upset me. And you'd love it if you like if you like a film with a bit of a teary episode in it.
I'm
you
going
gotta
now.
watch it.
So we just do a top 5 movies that made you cry part 2 episode.
why not?
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I can only do one film.
Let's do it. I can only do one film. Let's do it.
So Mario's not going to be on that episode.
So
then.
my top 5 are backdraft.
No, technically you said Clerks 3 made you cry.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, Clerks 3 made me well up. It did
Yeah,
indeed.
there you go. It doesn't matter if they're tears of joy or tears of
think that was-
sadness.
Yeah.
Tears involved.
Oh,
It's
I've got
got-
loads
I know-
of films that could go on that list.
Oh, mate, there you go.
I mean, I go back to my childhood, but then Lassie Come Home.
Old Yeller.
Oh my
We
God,
could do
no.
another 5 films that made us cry. Let's go for it.
Fine, okay, we'll make it happen. But thank you guys for doing that. That was a great episode.
Yeah,
Some
enjoyed
memories,
that.
some good memories on those films. I'm glad someone else loves fucking Daylight. Yes, get in there.
Of course.
So we'll end it there, guys. If you like what you listen to, follow us at Facebook at the M.T.V.B Podcast, on Instagram at M.T.V.B Podcast, or on TikTok on M.T.V Podcast 197. I be Atman, joined by,
JK47.
Super Mario.
H, the man with 2 lists.
and we're going to say goodnight and be well, guys.
Be well.
Good night.